Tac, tac. On avait réussi l'énigme la dernière fois. On avait été sauvé par Furudo Erika. Et maintenant, je sais pas du tout. Quoi bien voir? Hop là. The inside of my nose itched. I've never regained consciousness to a smell before. Slowly, I opened my eyes. On est de retour chez la liseuse là. L'autrice. Wait, when did I lose consciousness in the first place? Federine. I don't remember going to sleep or falling unconscious. That's right. And Castle invited me to come to a place better for drinking tea. C'est écrit avec le faiseur de plumes. Donc pas comme ça, effectivement. That's why my memory gets hazy. And since the smell of black tea is what woke me up, where am I? How Aurora's today? I had to admit it, but her taste in tea really is excellent. I was sitting on what appeared to be a sofa in a dimly lit study, when Castle sat across from me, and right before my eyes was a beautiful cup filled with hot steaming tea. Timer, bien vu. D'ailleurs, il est où? Il en sait, oui, c'est bon. Isn't this place? I remembered. I've been here before. Wasn't it? How pleasant it is to see you again, child of man. Yes, that voice. Just hearing it brings back memories. Long time no see, my master. Ooh! I didn't think I would get the chance to welcome you in my study again. To think that game of yours is still continuing. It won't be continuing much longer. This is the end, the true final game. This was a study of Federine Augusta Aurora, the majestic witch of theater-going, drama, and spectating. Once in the past, I was summoned by her and ordered to be a reader, Umineko. Don't tell me you want me to read again. I wasn't the one who called you here. My Umineko brought the two of us together. Why? Isn't it obvious? To show you the path that leads to the truth. You mean the way, Federine? Well, I am the witch of theater going, though I dislike interfering with the actors on the stage. So would you rather watch battlers bearing plain, or my exacting one that manipulates the branching paths of fate? I know you can't stand even a minute of boredom. As Federine rocked their rocking chair, she looked up at the ceiling and chuckled. She clearly holds some key to the truth I seek. And yet, you are literally the one holding the key. Oh! I can do nothing but tell you where to find the keyhole, child of man. I don't remember saying anything out loud, but Federine answered my question as though I had. Come to think of it, that's right. Federine can read the thoughts of a mere child of man like me as easily as she can hear me speak. Well, I guess that will help us get to the point much quicker. Oni-chan did give me this key. But then he just said something about how I would know how to use it when the time was right. He didn't say a word about what it was used for. Do you two know? What is this key for? Oni-chan said it was something very precious. Explain, my Miko. No way. You explain. You demand that you, master, explain. You've got to go on stage every now and then. This way. Otherwise, you just get senile all the faster. My. And yet I just enjoyed some long overdue time on the stage when Ange was reader, which should last me several centuries at least. Tell me, what is this key? A physical manifestation of the decision you are to make. This tale, this game, will end when you are asked to make a certain decision. Ouh! Est-ce qu'on va vraiment avoir un choix dans le jeu? Pour de vrai, de vrai, de vrai? Comme ça, on pourra juste dire à Kalas, ouais, c'est un jeu à choix, t'inquiète. Horrible. Une décision à la fin. Croire en la magie ou non. What you hold there is the act of your decision embodied in the form of a key. The physical manifestation of my decision? Exactly. Butler was probably planning to end it by putting you in front of two doors, both of which can be opened by the key. Then he would ask you to choose which door to open. He must have told you that much, right? He didn't tell me anything at all. He just kept saying things like, you'll know when the time comes. No one will tell me anything. Not Anisha, not anyone. Butler probably wants to respect your right to make a decision of your own free will. But Ange, you should have at least started to figure it out by now, right? Figure what out? There's an answer Butler wants you to choose, isn't there? Those words made my heart jump in my chest. It was what I had been thinking. Unchan is clearly trying to trick me with a vague tale, almost like a daydream, that will take me even farther away from the truth. At the 1986 family conference, everyone had a wonderful time as they faded away. Everyone is smiling down on you from heaven, so you don't need to feel alone, even in 1998. So give it your all and live on by yourself. I've clearly sensed Onishan's desire to end it like that. Every time I ask him about it, he dodges the issue and says something about how the decision would be mine in the end. That's right. It may appear as though Butler is giving you a fair choice, but he is actually scheming to get you to choose a certain one of those two answers. You've already seen the farce fatale that he's using to do that, right? That bizarre Halloween party, with everyone acting so strange and friendly that it almost was sickening. I've already seen more than enough of that tale, so sickly sweet it makes me want to vomit. Where Ushimi Akinzo showed me with affection, where his children sought to support each other, where everyone was filled with happiness and hope. He's trying to trick me with those shumi scenes, so he can keep me away from the truth. He's such a coward. True, it might be easy to call him a coward from your perspective. But remember, if you are a player in this game, and if Battler is a game master, what does that imply? In the past, Battler was a player and Beata was the game master, and they each fought for their own respective truths. So what's happening this time? Ooh. I'm a player and Anishan's a game master. Could it be that I've misunderstood everything from the very beginning? Anishan said he would tell me what happened on that day. So I assumed that following him meant I would learn everything. Isn't that the same as, say, Onichan accepting everything Beato said about the crime being the work of a witch? What a stupid mistake I've been making. So this game has always been a fight between me and Onichan? I'm surprised you joined in without realizing that. Battler really is sly. He quickly started up the final game without letting you realize that simple fact. Well, it was the same back in Beato's games. Battler was drawn into a game before I knew what was happening, before I even knew how to fight. That's why I taught him how. And now it's exactly the same. You were forced to start this game. before you understood anything about it, and I've come to tell you the truth. Tell you who you're fighting against, and for what. I was too shocked to speak. And finally, I realized what I needed to accomplish in this game. I've always been passive. I was sure that Onichan would tell me everything, so I naively thought that I just had to believe whatever he said. I was wrong. That's not what this is. This is a battle between me, the one who wants to reach the truth, and Onichan who wants to trick me and chase me out of a 1998 where I'm all alone. All this time I've kept on saying that Onichan was foolish and naive, and now I say that I was more naive than anyone else. And yet, Van Castle didn't sneer at me. On the contrary, she looked at me with that cold gaze and as if to say, so you've finally taken your first step. Now do you understand your own purpose and the purpose of that key? I gripped the key Onichan had hung around my neck. And for a while, I shook with an emotion that even I couldn't understand. Now that I know Onichan tricked me, it would be easy to hate him. But hating him will be missing the point. After all, this is a game between me and him. Onichan has done nothing but make the optimal moves for winning against me. What a music. If games aren't a playful way to communicate, if they're the process that decides who wins and who loses, then there can be no fair games. The best strategy is always to trick your enemy into defeat without telling them the rules before they even know what's going on. In that sense, Onichan hasn't done anything wrong. Is using that sickly sweet illusion to trick me and force me into a lonely future. Force me out into a lonely future. They'll be the only ones having a good time in the cat box and I'll be the only one chased out. Thank you. I'm grateful. I think I've finally been able to truly open my eyes. Please don't hate Battler. After all, one-sidedly tricking your opponent is what game masters do. I know. Onichan took the best option from his perspective. That's all there is to it. So I need to make the best possible moves from my perspective. My goal is now clear. October 4th and 5th, 1986. What happened on Rock Kenjima on those days? I need to tear off the veil covering the truth. Nothing more, nothing less. Onichan gave me this key, probably because he wants me to put it into the keyhole of his choosing. That's why he keeps throwing me this sentimental illusion. But I won't be fooled anymore. I will open the door I want to open. Certainly, this kind of tale is more than my liking. Than one where Ange does whatever Battler says. Then this time, I'll let you run the show from here on out. Tell Ange. Tell her where the keyhole that leads to the truth is. Tell me, where is the keyhole? Ooh, very well. First off, have a seat. I'll go and get it for you. When Federin rose from her rocking chair, my vision seemed to twist and bend. What is this, some kind of interference? Why now when Federin is about to show me something important? Why is my head getting suddenly... I dug my fingernails into my knees, clenching my teeth to keep from losing consciousness. However, the world just kept twisting more and more. Except for the feel of the sofa beneath me, I couldn't sense anything at all. Lady? Huh? Looks like they've arrived. The door opened and Ashisha Toya appeared. What's going on? This isn't the world of witches, but the world of humans? I was sitting on a sofa and Amakusabi was behind me. There's no need to feel confused. Fedrin and Achito Toya are the same being. To her, the difference between the two worlds is a trivial thing. To put it in the world of that theater lover, it's like having a slightly different background behind the stage. There was no reason for me to feel hesitant. Should I call you Madame Achito this time? How complicated names are. Even though both of us are still here, it's like before you have to wonder what to call me. True. Calling you Federin would be a bit rude to you now. For an actor, the name of the role they act is only temporary. Precisely, child of man. Federin? Makusa's eyes went wide as he wondered what I was suddenly talking about. I ignored him and continued. So, what are you going to show me? As I spoke, my eyes were caught by that heavy-looking object she held under her arm. At a glance, it looked like an encyclopedia with a fancy binding. Do you know what this is? As Federin spoke, she set the heavy object on the table. The first thing it reminded me of was a grimoire, OMG. The heavy book had a mysterious, mystical feel to it, like something Maya on Echan might carry around. And the most remarkable feature of it was the large, sturdy lock that held it shut. C'est le dernier truc. Le dernier tale. Why would someone go so far to keep people from reading a book? Why don't you take it back and observe the back? The back? I flipped the heavy book over on my lap. And as soon as I saw it, I gave a small gasp. Eva a écrit son journal. Eva a écrit ses mémoires. Oh putain! Oh putain! Oh là 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 là. Donc on a vraiment la vraie réponse. Eva Ushiro. Philomia. Philomia Eva. Without a doubt, those words were written there in Roman characters. What is this? Monteva's diary? Could this be that rumored? Do you know something about this? Just a rumor. They said that President Eva had a secret diary and that she always kept it locked up. It said she took it with her everywhere she went. At least that's what I heard from some of the other bodyguards. A secret diary? Why is that here? It was in the hospital room where Ushinomiya Eva passed away. This diary was hidden behind her bed, so it remained in that room for some time after her death before it was found. Then by coincidence, it was probably found by someone who worked for the hospital or else a patient on her other family. Merci à Makusa sur des pratiques et 5 chapitres. Vraiment, hein. Mais de toute façon, Makusa, depuis le call qu'il a eu avec le mec dans la cabine téléphonique, je me méfie de lui. Hein. Je pense qu'il y a une couille avec Amakusa. Of course, by that time, there was a huge movement dedicated to the Rokenjima mystery. A locked diary found in the hospital room where Ushinomiya Eva spent her last moments would be absolutely priceless. The discoverer probably handed it over in secret to one of the witch hunters who would be able to accurately determine its worth. Luckily, the witch hunters who got their hands on this book were all noble and upright people. Not content to brutalishly destroy the lock and reveal the truth, they simply satisfied themselves with the fact that the truth of that day slumbered just on the other side of this mysterious lock. Thanks to that, Eva's diary had remained undamaged this very day. It is already known that Natsui, wife of Kraus, the oldest son of Kinzo, sealed up all of her complaints and repressed feelings by writing them down in a diary, which she treated like a sort of charm. So Anteva did that same thing? It's possible, at least. It's possible, at least. Opening up a diary like this would be a pain, even if it did have a key. It's sealed up tight like a corset. And Makusa was right. This wasn't a diary meant to be casually opened and reminisced over. It's very safe to assume that she used this diary to forget things by writing them down and throwing them away, just like Ushinomiya Natsui did. Then she brought it with her into her hospital room and hid it behind the bed without telling anyone about it. Tell me that this diary is something that Onteva wrote down what happened that day. By reading its content, you will probably learn everything. However, we don't know where the key that unlocks it is. I jumped. Then I looked down at my chest. That's where my brother owned that key. Huh? It's gone. The key's gone. What's wrong, lady? What key? It's been hanging from my neck the whole time, isn't it? I never noticed. You had a key hanging from your neck? I understood almost immediately. In the world of humans, I haven't found the key. The me with the key is on the game board in the world of witches. Make me the me with the key. I'm going to unlock this diary. Federin lifted a finger, spun it around, and the world twisted again. When I returned to Federin's study, the key popped back into existence, hanging from my neck. Mais il n'y a plus de diary. Oui, voilà, c'est ça. But at the same time, the diary on my lap popped out of existence. C'est horrible. Where did the diary go? It should exist somewhere on the game board. Since it is one of the keyholes you are to be given, it must exist. Did Oni-chan hide it somewhere? Since Battler wants this to be a game between you and him, it probably isn't hidden completely. What do you mean? Even if Battler thinks of the diary as a king he mustn't lose, there will be no game unless it exists somewhere on the game board. In other words, it's somewhere in the Ushinomiya mansion? Or you may already have been given an opportunity to witness it. Like our swindler has already hidden a trap in microscopic letters on the first page of a contract you sign. If Battler follows the customs of the mystery genre as a game master, clues must be shown. So the choice that leads to Battler's defeat must have been shown. J'ai la gorge hyper sèche, mais bon, c'est pas grave. Ange, try and remember. You should have seen Eva's diary in Battler's world already. Fuck, qu'est-ce qu'on n'a pas vu? C'est quoi? In that instant, from the back of my mind, drifted the very first scene of this. Oui, bah oui, dans le cercueil de Béatrice. In the chapel, a book was lying on the altar, a book with a lock on it. As soon as I showed interest in that book, my brother suddenly grew stern and told me not to touch it. That wasn't Eva's diary. That's right. The Shinomiya Eva diary. The book of the single truth, with the truth of that day written inside it. The book of the single truth. Is the truth really inside it? After all, there's a chance that it's just something on Teva. I'll say it in red. Shinomiya Eva's diary, the book of the single truth, has the truth of Rokenjima during October 4th and 5th, recorded within it. Oh shit! Oh shit! Donc la vérité existe. Visiblement, c'est pas ce qu'il y a dans la 7ème game. Sinon, on n'aurait pas une nouvelle vérité à chercher. Ça me semblerait étrange. The discussions of urban castles with zoning game were getting passionate at each of the tables. At some point, each table had started competing to see which could solve it first. Bern Castle? Haven't Ange and Erika arrived yet? They should have been here by now. Wanna make a bet on who arrives first? I can understand Erika being late, but what about Ange? Just what kind of pit did you toss her into this time? How rude. She's sitting on a sofa sipping tea. Hopefully, the sort of tea you drink suits Ange's tastes. Good point. How rude. That tea would suit anyone's tastes. Erika would even lick the last drop of my tea from the bottom of a miso pot. No, part of me is dying to ask how miso comes into this picture. Still, it's Erika. This will be a long-awaited reunion. That's right, come to think of it. Can't wait to see how long it will take her to solve Ben Castle's game. This sort of game is what this kid's best at. She'll probably read it from start to finish 3 times, then just say the answer right away. Probably. I look forward to seeing her give the correct answer immediately with that smug look on her face. Calm now. This is Erika we're talking about. She'll probably pull out some twisted logic and say that was possible for someone other than Bata's family. So good point. In fact, I'd like to hear her proud twisted logic even more than the right answer. Apparently, Battler and Berto were looking forward to their reunion with Erika. They had already dueled with Erika in 2 separate games, but now there was no distinction between foes and allies. They truly wanted to welcome her into this party after the show as a friend. Still, it's a bit unexpected. What is? You know, it's surprising that you would let Ange go this easily. Making sure that Battler and the others couldn't see her face, Delta sniggered. Is it really so surprising? Of course it is. I saw that, being you torture Battler with one tough puzzle after another, before releasing her. Or that you would at least try to give Ange some weird ideas and have her turn the game around in the end. And I thought I knew you better than anyone else in this world. So embarrassing that I was wrong. I'm sure it is, but don't worry. You obviously do know me better than anyone else in the world. Là, on a Delta, elle a cool qu'elle avait pas fini là encore. Yeah, of course. After all, I love, adore, and understand you more than any other person in the universe. Lambda Delta was flustered by Ben Castle's apparently friendly words, which were very, very rare coming from her. Matla-sama, pardon me for interrupting our conversation. Ange-sama has returned. Oh, she's back? Great. So, is she okay? It seems that she was soaking by the rain, but Kumasawa is bringing her a towel now. When Battler heard this, he breathed a sigh of relief. Then he turned to face Ben Castle, showing her a forced smile as though apologizing for still suspecting her a little. Ben Castle showed no reaction and simply continued to wear a blank expression with a slight smile. Sama has returned. I'm back. Battler. Ange's back. Ange, I'm glad you're okay. I was worried. She stared at Battler as he dashed towards her with a relieved smile. Ange's expression seemed somehow indifferent. Dead Battler. Looks like he thought I had you hanging by chains in a cave or something. No, I didn't think you would go that far. I was just having some tea at the house of one of Ben Castle's friends. It was delicious. Did it have dried pluma or miso in it? Of course not. As Ange spoke bluntly, she walked right past her brother and exchanged a few whispered words with Ben Castle. What is it, Battler? Nothing. Nothing at all. If he said he was lonely because his little sister was being so cold, Battler would either laugh at him or scratch him. After all, Ange was a girl at that age. She might be in a bad mood for reasons a boy like him couldn't understand. Taking note of this, and having satisfied himself that Ange was okay, he made to walk away. Battler, Ange is calling for you. Huh? Oh, sorry. I've been trying to get your attention for a while. Don't ignore me. I wasn't really ignoring you. What's going on with you anyway? You look like you are in a bad mood for a while now. I imagine Ben Castle gave her something strange to drink and pretended it was just some rare sort of black tea. Oof! I have no business with you. Back off for a bit, will you? I want to talk to Onishan alone. Come. I may not look like it, but I am the wife of the territory lord. I'm already far closer to Battler than... Sorry, Beato. Would you mind leaving for just a bit? By now, Battler realized that Ange's issue was more than just a slight bad mood. Beato puffed out her cheeks as though she wanted to say something more. However, she just let it out with a sigh and walked away. Is this okay? It is. After all, this game is between me and you, right? I am the player, and you're the game master. No matter how many pieces get between us, in the end, it's still a direct battle between you and me. Well, it's true that I am the game master, but it's not like I'm fighting against you or anything. This final game was held so you could be invited to the Rokenjima of 1996. Games are played to decide who wins and who loses. There can be no game unless you have foes and allies. Don't try to trick me. Ooh. What are you talking about all of a sudden? Oh merde. You had me totally fooled. At first, I actually thought you'd take me to the day of 1986. But that wasn't true. This has all been a first that you have created, hasn't it? Using this sentimental tale to patch the issue and leave me confused. You're trying to chase me out into a lonely future with nothing but this cheap happiness as a parting gift. There's just one thing I've been after since the beginning. What happened at Rokenjima that day? And the only answer you gave me was this game. This sentimental party of illusions. It's obvious how you're going to try and answer my question now. I want the truth, and you're going to give it to me. Ange, listen, you've got it wrong. Don't try and trick me. This game is the final fight between me and you. I want the truth of that day, and you're trying to hide it behind an illusion. It's exactly the same. The setup is no different than those fights between you and Beato. I was about to be chased out of the game board with everything still vague and fuzzy because of you. Well, sorry, but I've already figured out this game is a battle. Don't think you'll trick me so easily anymore. Ange's shout tore apart the peaceful atmosphere. The family members and illusions gulped and watched the scene, wondering what was going on. Bato tried to run up to Battler, but he motioned for her to stay back. What is it you want? There's only one thing I've ever wanted. The truth of Rokenjima in 1986. That's all I'm looking for. The truth is sealed within the cat box. It can't be reached by someone outside the cat box like you. Is that why you're trying to trick me with this sentimental illusion? Yes, this is an illusion. However, I wanted you to remember this fun atmosphere, the harmony within your family. It's not about what happened on that island that day. I wanted you to remember the warmth of these family conferences, the warmth you forgot. That's just an illusion you're trying to impose on me. I will reject it and deny it completely. There is no truth of 1986. The cat box is empty inside. You're looking for something that doesn't exist. I won't be tricked anymore. The truth of that does exist. It was written down by the sole survivor and preserved to this very day. Battler's expression faltered for just an instant, and Ange didn't miss it. So he was hiding it after all. Onichan has been hiding the book of the single truth from me. Anteva, for the first time since your death, I'd like to express my gratitude. Because you wrote down what happened that day. You gave me one last chance at learning the truth. Oh, Shan, you have to listen to me. Everything I wrote in the diary is nonsense, and it doesn't mean... There's no point trying to deceive me. It's already been proven in red that your diary has the truth of that day in it. Absurd. How could anyone but Butler, the game master, use the red truth? It's our Aurora, isn't it? That's right. The Book of the Single Truth exists in 1998, The World of the Future. Who else could perform the crucial role of confirming its content with the red truth? I heard everything from that castle. I've been fooled by you long enough. I don't want some sentimental illusion. I want the real truth. And no matter how hard you try to cover it up in 1996, I can expose it in 1998. After all, you are the Beatrice of 1996, and I am the Beatrice of 1998. A cyclone rose up around Ange. It was a golden swirl of gold butterflies, just like the Golden Witch Beatrice. Oh putain! Yes! I am Ange Beatrice of 1998, the final Golden Witch. No witch of the past can defeat the witch of the future. The cyclone of gold broke apart, and as gold leaves scattered across the room, the final witch who would inherit Beatrice's name in the future appeared. Ange Beatrice. You're the golden and endless witch, but I am different. I am the golden witch of truth. No illusion can stand in my way. Yes, this is the end of Oni-chan's boring party. Now it's time for my party to start. C'est la musique qui joue quand Illusion to Illusion, Ground to Ground, Illusion to Illusion. C'est le moment où Will il détruit Sayo. Enfin Béatrice. Enfin bref. C'est le showdown entre le Will et Claire, pardon. Oui, Claire. Le titre, je l'ai, je sais exactement c'est laquelle, je la mettrai après si tu veux. Mais j'ai plus le nom là comme ça, mais je peux la retrouver. Golden Nocturne. C'est Golden Nocturne. Now it's time for my party to start. I've even ready the game to liven things up. You're up, Anteva. Je sais qu'il y a une version avec les vocals aussi, mais elle est pas présente dans le jeu. C'est probablement la meilleure musique du jeu, mais il y en a une avec avec les paroles. Il faudra qu'on se l'écoute à la fin du jeu parce que je sais qu'elle est pas dans le jeu. Parce que j'ai voulu chercher la musique et j'ai vu qu'il y avait une version avec les vocals, c'est écrit que c'est pas dans le jeu, c'est en bonus ailleurs. C'est en bonus sur la version PS3, je crois. Bref. Hein? When Ange snapped her fingers, she vanished along with a swirl of gold butterflies. Replacing her in the middle of that cyclone was a girl wearing a dress bowing modestly. Oh! Vraiment, j'ai la chair de poule là. You! That's pretty rude, you know? Inviting everyone to the party except me. You're Eva, the sole survivor of Rokenjima, and the witch of the future, the golden and endless witch from 1986 to 1998. In the world of the future, Batokun's sentimental illusion is more fragile than a flake of snow on a lake. Okay, let's have some fun. Come, try to remember, all of you. Remember your endless story making. Whenever held a hand to the heavens, light gathered there and took the form of a bottle. Yes, a bottle. A glass bottle with no label. There was no alcohol inside. Sealed within it was a fragment that let off a pale, sinister light. Now this is bad. You must not smash this bottle. showtime. En parlant de bouteilles, à la fin du premier opening, au tout début, je sais pas si tu te rappelles, parce qu'on l'a vu là chez Calas, il y avait une bouteille. Une bouteille avec du papier dedans. Dès le premier opening, c'était écrit. C'est l'indice du premier opening. The bottle was slammed against the floor and smashed to pieces. As soon as the fragment within it touched the outside air, it flashed white and burst. At first, it seemed that nothing had happened. On est en Phoenix Wright là. However, Eva grinned at them before becoming a cloud of butterflies and vanishing. At some point, Ben Castle must have vanished as well. What did she do? It was probably a fragment she brought back with her from the world of the future. Perhaps we could call it the contents of the cat box in the future. What does this all mean? What? At that moment, they heard a thundering roar. It was as though large chunks of hail had started falling everywhere. An earthquake accompanied that noise, and the whole mansion creaked. Dust began to fall from the ceiling. At the same time, it seemed as though the curtain-covered window glowed with a pale light. What on earth is going on? Lydia, look inside! Outside! What the hell is that? Everyone rushed to the window in response to her voice. Of course, Butler and Berto went too. Then, they drew the curtains, looked at the scene outside, and were stunned into silence. Beautiful. Kinzo's words echoed the first impression felt by all who looked at the scene beyond the windows. Not all beauty is benign. They always said that beauty was done, yeah. Though everyone found the scene beautiful, they all sensed impending misfortune from it. Outside the window, countless small objects, pale, glowing fragments of crystals, lay strewn about everywhere like fallen hail. The word fantastical perfectly summed up the scene that lay before them in the glowing rose garden. I saw something move over there. Is there someone over there? Wait, a person just grew out of the glowing fragment. Senses of purgatory, battle formation! With those words of Lucifer's, everyone finally realized that they were being surrounded by danger. One by one, the countless fragments shook and burst, and large, dark bodies rose up from inside each. There were giants with goat heads. One after another, they appeared from the inside of broken fragments. Those fragments lay all over the rose garden in vast numbers and made the ground glow, so that everyone inside was forced to shudder. But 5, what are resurrections? Remember that's filled with white. The other being giant though, the vast numbers of reading is making a count of enemy numbers impossible. Even as she said this, the glowing rose garden outside the window was being filled with giant goats. The fragments carrying the goats weren't just in the rose garden. They were spread evenly across the entire island. Not just the rose garden, but the entire area around the mansion was being covered with goats by now. How do I to speak? No, that we're completely surrounded. Yeah, we noticed. What will you do now, Butler? Only one thing to do with an uninvited guest. Let's chase them off. Who are these people? I'm guessing these aren't your minions, right, Beato? The goat forms. The goat forms, they're probably just imitations of the beasts in this game world. They aren't witches or Leah's minions. This is something worse. I see. So they are manifestations of message bottles. Message bottles? The ones Beato made? Not quite. These are fragments of what people in the future have imagined. And its possibilities are hidden within the cat box. Because of that, those outside the box can imagine the insides to be any one of an infinite number of things. It will seem those endless illusions are the true form of these creatures. What will those gods do to us, I wonder? It doesn't look like they're here to give us a handshake and a pat on the back. Those people, those lowlife, making up and passing around stories, imagining the tragedies that might have unfolded around us on this island. C'est vraiment juste l'auteur qui nous dit qu'on est tous des goats. Merci à lui. Enfin, je sais pas si je dois le bien prendre bien, du coup. I found it fascinating that I never talked about the truth, that they kept on creating tragedies one after another for their own enjoyment. I see. So they are fragments from the futures. From the future, imagining the catbox of 1986 however they please. In the world of the future, any and all interpretations can and do exist. Unless we deny them, everyone will be able to claim that their own view of the truth is the truth, and they will remain on this island. Maintenant, dans ma tête, c'est tech. Glanor est tech. Elle a un crush sur Peach. Je n'arrive pas à m'en défaire. What a fix we're in. It looks like we're surrounded and fighting for our lives. What are they doing? They're eating something. They're eating the roses? S'il y a plus qu'une voix de robot... Oui, bah... Tu veux que je passe quoi comme autre voix de robot que la voix de robot? Je sais pas faire la voix de GLaDOS sur le tas. I'm sorry, Dave. I can't let you do that. J'aurais pu faire ça, oui. J'aurais pu faire ça. Je suis désolé, Peach. J'ai besoin de te voir sous la douche. A crowd of goats was squirming about and doing something. If you looked closely, you could see them sticking their heads into rose bushes and munching away. And it wasn't just rose bushes. Light poles, the bricks of the flower beds, and even the stone paving itself. They were biting all of it. Almost as if they were trying to eat up the whole island. No, they aren't just eating. If they aren't eating, what are they doing? That is not eating. They are rotting it, shaving away at the edges. The edges of the game board itself. They're eating the game board? Ah. In the world of the future, everyone believes we're swallowed by tragedy today. That's why they won't accept a truth where we enjoy ourselves in peace. Truths of the past are subordinate to truths of the future. The merciless future fangs and jaws of those goats refuse to accept our truth and are eroding it, replacing it with the kind of truth they expect. Damn it. This is our truth. It's not for those people in the future who has nothing to do with us anyway. To rewrite as they please. Ouh. Ouh, j'aime pas ses yeux. The garden outside the window was now filled with too many goats to count, all shooing away. This repulsive scene stole the words from everyone's lips. Everyone stunned into silence. There was just no point in making a fuss and letting the goats know a certain fact. No point in letting them know that there was plenty of prey waiting in this bright, warm room, prey that was softer and easier to shoot than roses on bricks. That goat here, he's looking at us. Silence. Don't make a fuss. It's coming this way. Dear me, this does not look good. They saw one of the newly born goats head slowly towards their window. There was already a huge swarm of them in the garden, so it wasn't a surprise that when one of them looked around for new prey, it would see the light from this window. It's Iman's eerie body slowly approached. As it grew closer, they could finally see it clearly. The eyes blazed, despite being cold, ruthless, and reptilian. Those cruel fangs and jaws could tear apart and crush anything. Any fangs that could shoot through brick would hardly have a problem showing through humans. Its massive body had to be taller than the windows themselves, and it was lumbering towards this window. If only this window was made out of specially Shinomiya bulletproof glass. I doubt even bulletproof glass will stop that thing. Wah! It's coming, it's coming! It's running towards us! Ooh! Allow me to speak. Know that this window shall not be breached. The power of Cornelia's seal formed a shield around the glass. The goat was blown back, unable even to touch the glass because of this power. Its waves made the earth tremble. They could feel that clearly even inside. But that tremor had also drawn the attention of nearby goats. A pack of goats started shuffling towards them, and a fight broke out as they each charged forward, trying to reach this new prey first. The window protected by Cornelia's seal would probably be safe. However, there were many windows in the Great Hall. For the first time, those windows became a source of terror instead of sunlight and a lovely view. Gertrude. Allow me to speak. Know that this window shall not be breached. Ah! Gertrude sealed another window. The goats trying to break in through that one was thrown back. But at the same time, they heard the crash of yet another window being smashed. Scattering fragments of glass everywhere, the massive goats broke through the window frame and entered the building. Oh merde! Whoa! Stay back! Everyone stay back! La musique est enchanteresque. On the first twilight, the six chosen by the key. Those words really were coming from the goat's mouth, along with a steaming foul breath. However, he didn't get a chance to say any more. Forehead, neck, shoulder, chest, side, gut, knee. The stakes of the seven sisters buried themselves in deep, one after another. What rough and appetizing flesh for piecing. I had to have to gobble up any more of these. The other's windows shattered one after another, and several goats squeezed their way in through the window frame. Their mouths were still stuffed with the bricks they had just been snacking on. Each time they chewed, it made a ghastly sound like bones being crushed. We will repel them. Just our troops. Prepare for close range combat. Stop. You start firing away and we'll have all the other goats coming to join the party. Let's fall back to the second floor. If you can see the staircase, that will buy us some time. Everyone upstairs, hurry! After sniffing noisily as though scanning the smells around them, the goats started chewing on whatever chairs, table or curtains they were close by. The ghosts would chew anything to bits as long as it was near them. If the others were careful not to attract the goats' attention, they would be able to escape from this place. The humans run on ahead, up onto the second floor, while the illusions who were used to fighting guarded the rear. The goats were completely absorbed by their feast on everything in the hall. By now they were even brutally chewing away at the portrait of Beatrice, which could fairly be called the symbol of the Shinomiya family itself. Battler, the humans have all taken refuge on the second floor. Good. Then I'll seal all the staircase. Gertrude and Cornelia will handle it. However, they need more time. All over the mansion, there were loud beating sounds that might be called knocks and the sound of shattering glass. Well now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for work. Ho ho ho. Seven Sisters of Purgatory, right there. Let's go, you lowlife. Tonight, it's all you can eat. These are troops. Halt all external tasks. Cancel automatic updates. Accept no data. Take no prisoners. Assign Jungfrau of the 7th District. By the Territory Lord's order, carry out your duty. I'll lend a hand. Leon, you're in the way. Go up the 2nd floor. But well... Leave this to us and go. You have your own job to do. Protect your family. I understand. Everyone stay safe. The mansion was filled with the sounds of knocking, crushing, smashing and chewing. The goats on their wave of destruction was drawing steadily closer. Lord Butler, Gertrude and Cornelia have finished sealing the other staircases. The large staircase here is the only one that remains. The other staircases are tiny, so they went fast. On the other hand, this staircase is huge. Looks like you'll have your hands full buying it time. Lambda Delta spoke as though it was someone else's problem. It only took a glance at her face to see that she had no intention of lending an hand. Even so, Bertha didn't scold her. It was a game between Butler and Ange. Lambda Delta was only a theater goer who had been invited. Oof. Don't think badly of me. Even I would die if I was torn apart by nothingness. Sorry, but I think I'll stick to being an observer. That's what you've always been. Though it is a shame that we can't ask for your help. And now she's being nice. Doesn't want to steal our show. Sure, let's call it that. As a Voyager witch, Lambda Delta could retreat from this game board of battlers if she wanted to. In other words, she wasn't the only one who wasn't in trouble now. See you later. I think I'll watch this game between you and Burn till the end. I'll be rooting for you. As you mentioned, popcorn? Of course. I think I'll have some soy sauce butter flavor today. Lambda Delta vanished with a pop. As soon as she did, a black hole opened in midair and Gap fell out of it. Butler, Hitchy. Could you come here for a second? You should probably see this. Right now? Yes. Let's go. Everyone, we're counting on you to hold this position. When Gap snapped her fingers, a large hole opened up under Butler and Beato, swallowing them both. They were spat out into an inky blackness. Both of them were floating in the night sky. Kanjima lay far beneath them. As soon as they realized this, they shuddered. This is... It's not just a crowd, it's a sea. It was no longer a crowd of goats, but an entire sea of them. Just as Kanjima poked out from the ocean, the mansion was now poking out from a sea of goats. People in the future really are amazing. Just how many of them have imagined the tragedy on this island? It's nothing more than the rostless drivel of those outside the cat box. Let's clean this place up. Look over there. It's hard to tell, but look at the shoreline. Shoreline? It's easy to make out the harbor. Look closely. See it? Tell me. Yeah, you're probably right. They're eating it. Eating the whole island. Ah merde. Come, try and remember fragments from the future. If only you just chew up all the embellishments, all the illusions, all the fantasy. As Eva yelled this to the heavens, hovering above the raging sea, hell fell down with a pale glow. Each was an unlabeled bottle with a fragment inside. They poured onto the island, were smashed to bits. The fragments inside them was scattered everywhere. Every now and then the fragments were split into two, and split in two again, and every single one of them burst and gave birth to a massive goat. To say it was like bamboo shoots springing up after the rain would be a vast understatement. The goats writhed about like bubbling, boiling water in a pot. They ate away at everything they saw. They didn't just eat the harbor, but the trees and rocks, the entire coastline itself. Hundreds, thousands, no, tens of thousands of goats continued to eat. They were showing away at every bit of Rokenjima of this final game that Battler had prepared. Too bad, Battler-kun. The future wants a tragedy on this island. Even Ange wants the truth. Don't worry, we'll show up all the embellishment, illusion, and fantasy for you. By now, Battler and the others had to admit it. The future wanted a tragedy. Even if the truth of this island had been gentle, peaceful thing, the future didn't want that. And the truth they wanted was painting over the past. And the past is such a fragile thing. Even the cat box is being shoot apart. Wow, le piano, il s'emballe. Just who are these people? Are they really so determined to plunge us into a tragedy? That's all I wanted to show you. Hope this helps a bit when you're making strategic decisions. Yes, thanks. Now I feel like crap. Then let's go to the study next if you don't mind. Godsmiths want to talk to you. Gap snapped their fingers and another black hole swallowed them up and spat them out into the study. Gap, if you're gonna draw me, please do it on the bed. Grandfather, we're in trouble. There's absolutely nowhere to go. I know. And even waiting out the storm from here is not an option. One of the other should be able to buy us some time, but that's all. It is just holed up in the mansion. It would only be a matter of time before the swarm of goats got them. Trying to repel a few of the goats barging into the mansion will be like using a cup to bail water from a boat with a hole in it. We can't fight defensively for a while, but it's only a matter of time. We need to think of something while we fight. Can we escape? Where to? Is there any way for us to leave the game board? The outside of the game board is beyond the range of our territory. Only Voyager Witch could leave. Only Bencastle and Lambda Delta could do it. However, there was no way Bencastle would have. Even Lambda Delta had already announced that she would be an observer instead of lending an hand. So there's nowhere left to run. No, there is one place. Where? On y revient, hein? The Golden Land. I see. Is that our only ocean? Indeed. The Golden Land is the most impenetrable place on this game board. If you wish to escape, it's that or nothing. These things are eating the cat box itself. For all we know, they must start showing away the Golden Land itself at any moment. What should we do, Battler? No point thinking about it. We're retreating. We take too long to make a decision, even that road will be close to us. Evacuate everyone. How can we open the door to the Golden Land? I just have to open it. However, an immense wave of the anti-magic toxin is emanating from that crowd of goats. It will take some time to open the door. So we only got to protect the study with our lives until the door's open. Just have to keep doing what we've been doing. There's one more problem. The door to the Golden Land cannot be shut unless two people close it from the outside. Aïe aïe aïe! Qui va devoir rester derrière pour se sacrifier? Bah, Battler et Béatrice. Two from the outside? What do you mean? Soit ça, soit Eva et Ange. As soon as he said this, Battler realized this must be the result of some agreement made between the three witches who are one. Normally there's no need to go to the trouble of shutting the door, but it won't be so easy this time. Only you and Beato can fulfill the role of shutting the door. Me as the territory lord and Beato. Yeah, it sounds like the safest choice. Indeed. If it's just the two of us, we might even be able to protect ourselves. Okay, open the door. Oh, Beato weaved a pipe, leaving a golden trail behind as she sliced the air vertically. Then, the gap of the door to the Golden Land appeared. It looked like nothing more than a thin golden string hanging from the ceiling. If you looked closely, you could see that the string was getting thicker very slowly. The door to the golden nun certainly was opening, but so slowly that you could not even tell if you weren't careful. At this rate, it would probably take some time before it grew big enough to let a person through. Grandfather Gap will need you to be our inner line of defense. Yes, there may be ghosts climbing out the outer wall. Very well. My rifle hungers for some prey. Understood. It will be fun dropping those things into the abyss. Pendant ce temps-là, Willard est en train de aura farming. A giant was sliced at an angle, split into two parts, and fell to the floor, showing it with filthy dark blood and guts. Splendidly done! I'll let you take the next one. Countless massive goats, which had forced their way in from rooms and windows all across the mansion, wandered about in search of something to chew. Several of the goats noticed the group of people huddled around the staircase and labored closer. Cette dernière journée avant la retraite. Ouais, là, il a... En même temps, c'est sa faute, hein, il fallait pas dire les mots magiques. Je vais bientôt prendre ma retraite. Juste une dernière affaire. But they were pulverized by merciless attacks. The nerves shields easily altered the charging goats, and Virginia magic spears were pinning the giants against the walls. The dinos on Will's blades were also slicing easily through goats. Pinpoint strikes of the Seven Sisters of Purgatory could pierce the vitals of and finish off any opponent, no matter how large. The Sister Sisters were holding their own too. They had blasted enough goats to bits with one shot from their high-caliber firearms that you couldn't count the kills with both hands. Given a limited number of opponents, they were more than a match for these goats. However, they weren't just up against a crowd, but an entire ocean. It was like a people trying to face the approaching waves of a stormy sea. Ariane, that gun barrel placement! Requesting cover from the Purgatory troops! Surrender of ammo and you're nothing but rabbits. Lame. I don't wanna hear that from a bunch of 7 paperweights. We can only kill one person at a time, yeah? Yeah, keep them coming. Don't let us get bored. The hall was filled with massive goat corpses. As if in fear of this sight, the goats that came in one after another formed a wall, keeping their distance. Perhaps they think they are no match for us. I wish that were true, but it seems to be little more than wishful thinking. What are the guys doing? They're looking at us and whispering to each other. Apparently they had the intelligence to talk together and cooperate. The gods surrounded them at a distance, whispering. Then they nodded at each other as though deciding something, and the whole group stirred. What are they doing? It almost looks like they're lining up in a different order. Emitting information! It appears that the individuals who's got that extractive power are being gathered in the front lines. So what? Let's go! Yes, One-sama! Wait, something's wrong. Lucifer took aim at one of them, going for its forehead. The other 6 sisters followed their lead, trying to pierce the vital organs all over the creature's body. However, there was no sound of pierced flesh. 7 sisters of Purgatory were knocked back, unable to cause even the smallest wound. What? What just happened? Those guys are talking about something. The ghost kept whispering the same thing over and over on this as they slowly approached the 7 sisters. All of them whispered anonymously. All fantasy is fictional. The 7 Sisters of Purgatory are illusions personifying the stakes for ceremonial sacrifices. They're actually paperweights. They're actually paperweights. As they whispered curses that denied the Seven Sisters' existence, the goats lumbered closer. Get back, purgatory troops! We'll cover you! It seems you're in the Leshan goats. The golden bows of the Shister's troops mowed down the wall of goats with shower of bright golden bullets. Some of the goats were torn to pieces, but some of them seemed completely unaffected. Then, the goats who were uninjured all whispered as one. The Shister Sisters Imperial Guards have Maria's rabbit dolls as their vessels. They're actually rabbit dolls. Maria's imagination, fantasy, fictional beings. All of the crimes can be explained by mystery. All fantasy is irrelevant. J'ai bien envie de savoir comment ils vont expliquer ces paras purpures. Looks like we've got lots of people who won't accept the existence of magic. And that means no magical attacks will have any effect on them. Does that mean all of our attacks will be completely useless? And it's not yet. You didn't accept that we exist. Our attacks can't hit them yet. Is that possible? We'll have to test it. Renov stepped forward, stamped on the floor twice, and a red barrier rose up in front of him. The crowd of ghosts dashed into it with a terrifying force. While some ghosts were blown away by it, several of them slipped right through the magical barrier. Renov is a creator of magic, a creator of fiction. Genji is Renov's vessel. He's an imaginary version of Genji. I see. So even my attacks will have no effect on will not affect some of them. There was no longer any point in Virgilia trying out her magic spear. Now that some of the goats had decided that her existence was fictional, she could no longer hurt them. Even these great demons and great witches, as well as high-level furniture and weapons, were overcome with fear of the crowd that surrounded them, a crowd that would not be affected by any of their attacks. What are we going to do? We'll keep fighting until the end. We don't have permission to die in battle. Fantasy is all fiction. Fantasy is all fiction. Fantasy is all fiction. Je commence limite à regretter d'avoir trop tryhard pour prouver que la magie n'existait pas. C'est terrifiant. Non mais... Ils font trop peur. Ils ont même plus les yeux rouges là, c'est... Ouais, on se fait call out là. A shriek from one of the goats became a signal for the wall of them to break. They pushed forward with gaping mouths and full breaths, each trying to reach their prey first, trying to return these fictional creatures to nothingness. Look out! Gia leapt. Oh, pardon. Attends, je nettoie mes lunettes vite fait. Gilia... J'avais pas vu que j'avais mis encore ça. Attends, je l'enlève. Gilia leapt in front of and held several of the Seven Sisters who had fallen on their beds, overpowered by the ferocity of the approaching goats. However, even Virgilia was a fictional creature to these goats. They could chew through her like cotton candy. Madam, quickly. Renov threw himself at the incoming goats. Even he would be shot apart easily. Knowing this, Renov leapt forward. Even if my magic no longer functions, I am still the fiercely passionate and loyal mind I always was. And furthermore, did you expect that I will simply sit by and watch Lady die? C'est vrai qu'il sait se battre quoi qu'il arrive, hein. Renov is fantasy. Renov is fantasy. Renov slammed his right fist into the side of a goat's face. As soon as he pulled it back, he swung his left leg into the goat's gut, then spun around into a reverse roundhouse that caught the goat again.
Ronov knew. He could do less damage on a mosquito bite against those who didn't accept his existence. This was the 8th of anti-magic defensive power, Endless 9. Ronov is fantasy, fiction, an illusion. The god swung its log-like fist with a sound like a storm. Ronov dodged by a hair. Had he been an instant slower, that massive arm would have crushed his head like glass. Ronov! Stop this, run! I, Ronov, cannot help but rise to the challenge when I see a lady in a pinch. A bad habit of mine. Ronov grinned and tried to act tough. He had already sacrificed all he had. There was nothing he could do here, and now, except becoming a shield to buy time. He had already chosen to abandon his life for this. Ronov is fantasy. He couldn't exist. He couldn't possibly exist. Illusions do not exist. They do not exist. Fantasy is all ridiculous. The gods kept coming, trying to feast on Ronov. None had any pretensions of making this a one-on-one fight. Nothing mattered except showing apart fantasy. Even just a nibble. As they gnashed those ruthless jaws and fangs, they closed in around Ronov. Pam pam! Ugh. Ronov's foot hit something and he stumbled. At the same instant, several massive arms reached out and lifted him up. Ronov-sama! What are you doing, sisters? Shoot them! He cannot do anything. He will have done that yet. Everyone, please stand back. I should be able to buy you some time as if sever my flesh. No, no! Not like this. However, I think they'll find that Ronov has quite a few little bones in him. An elbow rammed itself into the massive idiot's jaws that were trying to shoot Ronov's head. Of course, the goat did moan, but that did nothing but deprive just one goat of his right to the first bite of Ronov's head. Many jaws opened wide, trying to crush him and throw him down into those hostless stomachs, which will permit no cheerful illusions to exist. I won't accept fantasy, won't accept. It's possible to explain everything with mystery. Possible. Fantasy is fake. Oh. Oui, Erika. Est-ce que Erika va défendre le côté de la magie? Est-ce que ce serait pas le plus grand comeback de tous les temps? All of the many arms that lifted Ronov up were sliced off. The seven sisters used this chance to fly forward and grab Ronov, dragging him back. Ah non. Mais c'est déjà pas mal. Oh, pas mal aussi en soi. Ça fait partie un peu du truc. Which of you mentioned mystery? Does the landlords bear them work on them? I see foul foes are calling it a mystery. Blood-red longsword in hand, Lana slowly walked forward. Behind her walked Will, tapping his back with a black blade. Mais quel putain de badass Will, c'est pas possible. J'ai la scène en tête là, je le vois, c'est juste un aura farmer, c'est pas possible. Il vit pour les caméras, hein. Mais il a raison. Il mérite. If you don't think this is a fantasy, then let's have your theories. I cannot wait to hear your explanations. The crowd of goats stepped back. Though they had been so vicious against the illusions, they stepped back when faced with this pair wielding swords of mystery. There have been a great many closed room murderers on this game board. Choose whichever you please and we will parry all of your attacks. No, we don't have to defend anything. Indeed, the purpose of a mystery is to offer a challenge. There is no need for us to play defense. Do you get it yet? You're the ones in the hot seat now. Blue truce cut the goats apart. That blue truce dwelt within each of every one of the riddles from Beato's games so far. What about the closed room with the chain, first game, second Twilight? What about the closed room of the chapel, second game, first Twilight? What about the trick to killing Nanjo, third game, ninth Twilight? There was no end to the blades. The countless riddles Beatrice had left behind became blades, challenges that tore the goats apart. If they wanted to deny fantasy, they would have to make a counter-argument. They would have to deal with every single trick as a mystery. However, while most of the goats called themselves anti-fantasy, they hadn't sought up any answers for the mystery. Là, il est en train de call out tous les gens qui n'ont pas fait l'effort d'essayer de résoudre le mystère. Je crois qu'il avait un peu la haine. Hein. J'ai revu des parties du chapitre 6. Quand Featherine parle de ses lecteurs qui font pas attention du tout, c'est vraiment... je pense qu'il a vraiment la haine envers les gens qui font pas gaffe à son histoire. Every now and then, goats with answers did appear. Someone outside the Yushiromiya family was hiding on the island, and... Nox first, it is forbidden for the culprit to be anyone not mentioned in the early part of the story. There are multiple culprits, all working separately, and it just happened to look like a single culprit. Van Dyne's 12s. There must be one true culprit. Peut-être que il n'y a pas de Chinaman. You mean everything but that is forbidden? Burying rat. To have a genre like that. Personally, I think mysteries should be more flexible. The 10 Norse Commandments and the 20 Van Dyne rules are behind the times. The definition of the mystery genre should change with the era. Cheh! And now they get a pity. Perhaps we are behind the times. In that case, let's see if you have any theories that can satisfy us. Ok, de l'honneur, si tu veux. The whole crowd of goats charged them. In their fangs, each of them carried theories to crush Beato's closed rooms. The bodies of these goats differed from those who had become corpses so easily. They had mystery-style answers to several closed rooms, so it would take several blades to give them a fatal wound. However, Beato had left many blades behind. All of them were exceedingly sharp, so the pair of Inquisitors didn't think this would be a desperate battle. This is mystery. The goal is to use all of the imagination and knowledge to challenge each of the riddles head-on. Doing so is the greatest pleasure of the mystery genre. So they laughed. Both Will and Lano laughed, with smiles of admiration at the theories the ghosts had put everything they had into. They countered with blades from all the closed rooms. The crowd of goats was no longer an encirclement, but a great wave threatening to swallow the pair. And yet the pair repelled the enemy without giving an inch. They resisted firmly, cutting through the wave of waiting goats. It was like an ice-breaking ship knocking a pass through a frozen sea. They entered the closed rooms through a hidden passage that no one else could use and... non, t'as oublié le troisième. Nox third, it is forbidden for hidden passages to exist. After the hidden passage was used, it was yielded shut and became unusable, so the hidden passage existed at the time of the inspection. Nox ace, it is forbidden for the case to be resolved with clues that are not presented. Attends. Ok, c'est bon. These are all fake murders, so no one is actually dead. So all closed rooms were constructed by the so-called victims. Pourquoi pas en vrai? Oh merde! Oh merde! Glenor hesitated for just an instant. After all, this cliched and simple theory managed to get around both Beata's closed rooms and the Nox commandments. Oh fuck, non! Pas de la Nord. Si on perd de la Nord, je réponds de rien. Si on perd de la Nord, c'est peut-être la fin de la session et on finit jamais le jeu. Glenor saw no sickness inside the goat's massive jaws. Mais non, parce qu'il y a Will. Oh là 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 là. Van Dyne Sevens. It is forbidden to have a crime without a corpse. The god's jaws seemed to close around Lanor's head. However, the upper and lower jaws were no longer connected, so the upper half merely slid off the side to the side. I guess even the Great Nox forgot to forbid fake murders. There are many splendid mysteries besides murder. The gods weren't about to back off and let the pair have a nice long chat about the mystery genre. The next massive figure immediately enveloped them. Will's blade drew a diagonal slash across its chest, but it only cut through its clothes, leaving no wound. The 20 wedges won't work on this one. Nano also hit it with their long sword, but still, just cut its clothes without leaving a mark on its body. Could this goat be the goat? Ah, have a theory that doesn't violate Nox and Van Dyne? Nox and Van Dyne are meaningless. Bah, attends, si tu décides de pas croire aux règles, effectivement, tu peux pas être atteint. All closed room can be explained by a single solution. After all, in an intent to stop the goat from saying anymore, Will and Lenor hit it with blades from every closed room, as well as stakes from the 10 commandments and the 20 rules. But none of them had any effect. J'ai très très peur. Slowly, the goat clenched its massive fists together and raised them up high. After all... Well... With a roar, Will slammed into the goat giant with his body. Though its massive bulk bent back slightly, Will was still leaping into a death trap. However, if he hadn't done so, he wouldn't have been able to protect Glenor. The goat grabbed Will. It lifted him up and held him high in the air. It was like a little kid showing off his favorite toy and waving it around. Let's hear your theory. If I'm to hear the great theory before I die, it will be a fitting end for a rite. Van Dyne and Nox are useless for making theories. The goat's massive hands closed on Will like a viz. Je sais même pas c'est quoi ce mot. What the fuck? Attends, je suis obligé d'aller check, je sais pas ce que c'est. J'ai aucune idée de ce que c'est. Bon. Ah, a tool with two parts that can be moved together by tightening a screw. Ok, du coup je vois ce que c'est. Ouah, c'est comme une presse quoi. Hi. All the bones in Will's body were creaking. Let's hear your theory. Will il peut pas mourir. Je refuse. Ah! Oh fuck. There is no need for a theory. What? Oh! Ça, c'est des lecteurs qu'on n'a rien à foutre. After all, making theories for any of Beatrice's game is a waste of time. What do you mean? This isn't an orthodox mystery, so thinking about it is just a waste of time. I won't accept Beatrice's games as a mystery. There are no answers to the tricks. It's all just an illusion. C'est un peu ça, hein. Je sens qu'il a... Il avait quelque chose à dire sur ses lecteurs, l'auteur. Thinking is just a waste of time. Ah. Will's head was lowered, so his face couldn't be seen. However, the arm of the goat holding him was shaking. The embrace of those log-sized arms with superhuman strength was being slowly pushed away by Will's shaking arms. Thinking is just a waste of time? You say that and you call yourself a mystery novel reader? Yeah. The mystery genre is like chivalry. You fight with the noble rules you've created, with pride in the stance you've taken. Is it worth being a coward if it will let you win? Does losing make the whole fight meaningless if you fought with everything you had? This isn't about winning or losing. It's about uploading the will to fight, even in the most dire circumstances. The goat's arms were not spread wide, and it looked as though Will was not the one pushing it back. Will's face was covered in shadow and couldn't be seen. People like you call themselves mystery readers even though they never even tried to solve mysteries. You're the ones I really can't stand. Will slammed his forehead into the goat's now unprotected head. If you call yourself a mystery reader, be proud to join in the battle of wits. Call yourself a mystery reader, it's about time you realized. Giving up is nothing to brag about. Will hit it with his head over and over again. His forehead had been torn apart by the goat's fangs, but he kept on hitting it. Undyne and Nox may be beyond the times. The mystery genre does progress with time, just like the world around it. However, there's one thing that never changes. That is pride. What is the knight part of? Not victory. It's part of his courage, which lets him stand up to anyone without fear. Will couldn't forgive the kind of coward who could turn tail from a fight and then brag about it. People who call themselves mystery readers but who have no pride are the only people Will just can't stand. The goat, unable to put up with this anymore, threw Will down to the floor. Then he lifted his fist again, determined to crush Will to pieces this time. Come! You probably will beat me to a pulp, but that will be no victory for you. You'll destroy your own pride with your own hands. Pointless, pointless. This is no mystery, so why make theories? Thinking is just a waste of time. Useless, useless, useless. Die, die, die. No. No. A fist like a cannonball swinging down towards him was the very last thing Will saw before he shut his eyes. In this game, if you stop thinking. C'est ce qu'elle nous disait Béatrice pendant les premiers chapitres. C'est ce que nous disait Béatrice ou c'est ce que nous disait Van Castle, je sais plus. Mais je me souviens de cette phrase. Si t'arrêtes de réfléchir, c'est fini. Merci Butler. In this game, if you give up, that means you lose, right? Parce que lui, il a l'épée d'or. C'est vrai qu'il a l'épée d'or. Butler smashed his fist into the goat's mouth and smashed teeth bounced off the ceiling. Butler-sama!
If you stop thinking, it means you've given up on the story being a mystery. Which means as far as you're concerned, this game is a fantasy. Oh! Ouh! Joli! Joli, joli, joli. Battler lifted up his arms. Realizing this as a signal, Lucifer and Chester 00 jumped. If you stop thinking, you don't deserve to be an actor on the stage. Stop trying to sound smart and go eat some popcorn from the stand or something. The goat lifted his fist again, then swung it down at Battler like a hammer. She's severed that fantasy. That just makes you another target, nye. It's the same as acknowledging that we exist. Taking recognitions of the side elements. Our target vulnerable to
Elle a du mal, elle a des problèmes pour parler, elle.
Kids who surrender to fantasy get to deal with us. And if you have a theory, we will hear it out. We welcome those people with open arms. Out of respect for them, we won't hold anything back. Oh, but it will seem that this is Battler's summer's time to shine. While I'd like to listen to all your parade theories, both mystery and fantasy, this isn't your game right now. No matter how much your future fragments try to deny us, this is no time for me to be defeated. A golden glint gathered in Battler's hand. It was so bright that the whole hall was bathed in gold. Golden butterflies flitted about, as though the whole room was being swallowed up by the golden hand. Battler lifted his golden longsword high. Feel free to challenge Battler's game as a mystery or fantasy. I welcome it, but I'm not gonna let you deny this final game of mine. Feel the shame of your indiscretion, of impugning the honor of those who have passed away. A slice of the golden longsword flooded the hall with a sea of golden light. Then, the whole group of goats slumbering about the hall turned into clouds of gold butterflies and scattered. Even so, only about 100 of them had been wiped out. Before long, the massive crowds of goats outside would probably come pouring in. The Seal Gertrude and the others are working on will be finished in a bit. Sorry, but I'll have to ask you to hold out here a little longer. Of course, Lord Battler. Otherwise, we wouldn't get to show off. On les a jamais vus se battre, elles, hein. Eux. Ces deux-là. You know... Ah bah, merci, je suis Will en fait. Je vais pas le dire, mais c'est moi Will. You know, you two could try fighting just a little. But, we're just the MCs. Elles sont là pour... Allez hop. On est là pour mettre l'ambiance. Their excessively blunt refusal drew a few strained smiles. However, it had lessened the tension in the room just a bit. Atasana, leave this to us. Mais oui, c'est qui? On n'a pas d'explication sur elle, hein. Je sais pas. Je crois qu'on en aura jamais, hein. C'est vrai qu'on a des explications pour tout le monde, mais pas pour ces deux-là. Est-ce que c'est pas vraiment juste des personnifications du théâtre? En mode « Et voici l'histoire !» On saura peut-être un jour. And not one of us will be left behind. Of course, we are all precious pieces on Lord Battler's game board. The Seven Sisters of Purgatory, the Chester Sisters Corps, and everyone else nodded forcefully. Yeah, I'm counting on all of you. We'll definitely protect this final game I made for Ange. They're managing to hold their ground down below.
The door to the Garden Land continues to open slowly. It will take some time though. That's right. We better start buying some time ourselves. The sea of ghosts that covered the ground below them was jostling about more and more. By now, even the sea surrounding the island had disappeared. The horizon was gone, and the shut-up island was now floating on eerie emptiness like space. The ghosts that flooded the edges of Rokanjima seemed to be spitting off the sides. Looks like that's it for the game board. As long as there's a game master and pieces, the game board can always be laid out again. As long as you have two people together, you can create any sort of game. True. Where on earth is Ange? Where did you hide that? That's right, the chapel. What's happened to the chapel? It's still there. The chapel looked like a white building floating in the pitch-black sea of goats. Yes, this was strange. There was no way those goats who consumed everything would go out of their way to avoid just the chapel. That's where Ange is. Ay. Outside the chapel was a sea of goats. Very soon the earth around the chapel will be eaten away, and it will probably end up floating on nothingness. The rampage of the goats, as they devoured everything and recited the tragedies they had imagined, was truly making a lot of noise. However, none of that reached inside the chapel. Ange finally broke the magic seal of the ancients and stepped inside. The seal was supposed to be unbreakable by anyone. However, in the face of Ange Beatrice, Witch of Truth, the one who saw the truth and could sweep aside all forces that prevented the air from finding it, no barrier was absolute. There it is. A single book, tightly locked, rested on the altar. It was the hidden diary that Ushomnia Eva had continued to write in, even in her later years. The Book of the Single Truth. It was the one Federin had shown her in the world of 1998. This time I have the key. I grabbed the gold key that sat in my pocket, the key Oni-chan gave me. As I approached the altar, I saw that the Book of the Single Truth was wrapped in a strange binding of the light. So this is that seal of the Game Master that Ben Castle talked about. The Book of the Single Truth was sealed in something like a crystal. It was a seal made by the Game Master's authority. This was on a different level than the breakable magic seal on the chapel door. No matter how Ange used their power as a Witch of Truth, it couldn't be broken by anyone except the Game Master. However, this time Battler wasn't the only Game Master. So sorry, Oni-chan. And Castle is a Game Master too. I just need to take this to her and have her break the seal. Ange slowly approached the altar. Will Ange really do as you said? This is my little sister we're talking about, so yeah, probably not. Then what will we do? Looks like we got nothing to go on with brute force. Oh shit! At that moment, a fierce impact hit the pair of them. Oh! Beata was flung away, and Battler was sealed inside a massive crystal that extended up to the heavens. What the hell is this? Battler, what is this? It was a barrier, a massive cage of crystal. Battler was shut inside a crystal cage like a tower, so large that you had to look up to see the top. Beto, I need you to take care of Ange. What will you do? Can you break free from this all by yourself from the inside? Is it a closed room barrier? Who could have? There's only one person who would challenge me with a closed room. Looks like our final guest has finally arrived. You don't mean? Go and take care of Ange. Beato left Battler to handle this on his own and headed for the chapel.
Beato took a deep breath, then smiled daringly.
Je sais pas, je suis pour qui non plus en vrai.
I've been waiting for you. Was it boring in that depths of oblivion place? The answer was a laugh. Yeah, that's right. That laugh is enough. Looks like you're doing well.
It wasn't boring. After all, I believed.
I'll bet you did. I believe too. Battler flung off the cape of the Territory Lord. It would only get in the way, and it will be a rude way to welcome his final guest.
Those dark depths were the perfect place to think of mysteries I could fight you with when we met again.
So this crystal cage is the ring for our duel. A chain deathmatch was nowhere to run.
Now that you mention it, we're always fighting over the closed rooms with chains.
Spécial, c'est leur kink, hein, pourquoi pas? Then let's use that. Make it a real chain deathmatch.
I'm prepared, but what about you?
I am. I told you, didn't I? I believe too. At the same time, they both brandished their mysteries, sealing the other in a chained closed room. Come, Furudo Erika! And
Me, Batterschwan! Batterschwan!
At the same time, they were both sealed inside a closed room locked with a chain. Of course, it was easy to unset and untie the chain from the inside. However, stepping into their opponent's chained room would be difficult. They were fighting to the death with two chained closed rooms at once. There could be no better closed room duel for these two, who had battled with theories concerning chained rooms so often. Oh putain! Furudo Erika committed suicide, died in an accident, died of an illness, died of by some reason other than an homicide.
It wasn't a suicide, it wasn't an accident and death, it wasn't a death by illness. I really was killed by you, Battler-san.
Oh shit!
It was a murder committed by slipping poison gas through the crack of the door, by filling the room with water and drowning you, and sucking the oxygen of the room and making you suffocate.
Ah non merde.
There was no poison gas, there was no drowning, there was no death by suffocation. Closed room for murder of poison gas, death by drowning, suffocation?
Crazy, right? It's funny, isn't it?
Good.
Oh là, ça fait beaucoup là.
It shouldn't be about committed suicide, he died in an accident, he was killed by an illness.
Time for me to test your closed room. Red truce. Ushimiya Battler was stabbed to death. Est-ce que c'est la vérité vraie? Let's say that the weapon was a knife, stuck right into his back.
Good. Nothing beats a classic closed room.
Then why don't we try it too?
I'll take the challenge with the red truce.
Attends, mais je suis perdu là. Qu'est-ce qui se passe? J'arrive à suivre, mais là j'ai pas le duel là.
Erika was stabbed to death. The weapon was a knife, stuck right in her back.
Interesting. I'll tear your closed room to bits. What's this supposed to be?
Battler is busy at the moment. For now, I shall be your opponent.
Beto had sealed the chapel with a closed room barrier. Unless that riddle was smashed with blue truce, Ange wouldn't be able to leave. After shrugging impatiently, Ange finally faced Beato. This might be the first time I fought you directly.
Oh, is it now?
Very well, let's see what you've got. However, Battler isn't here at the moment. When he's not around, I sometimes forget to hold back. What a coincidence. I feel the same. Ah, I killed you inside the perfect closed room. With windows, doors, and all other methods of entry or exit blocked. Okay, I'll play along with your game. Repeat it. Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Que se passe-t-il? And then, you see, we'll set it up so that among the works entered in Company X's Mystery Novel contest, yet another one of the great teacher's works will appear under a false name. Of course, we'll then move on with the movie version and TV drama bundled in. We here at Company X will be honored to accept your manuscript. And I am getting the prize money out of this. But of course, $10 million win prize for Company X. First mystery novel contest will all go to you. And much more besides. Splendid. You've caught my interest. That's why I've decided not to write up a manuscript for you. What? Madame Achito, why? Everything had seemed to be going so smoothly up until then, but this sudden refusal made the people from the publishing company fall over in their sofa. This little scheme of yours is far more interesting than the manuscript I wrote. In that case, it wouldn't be fitting to hand it over to you. It was always a worthless story. I wanted to lure my ignorant readers into lauding it, make them feel as though they had performed some magnificent reasoning. I was hoping that you children of men would recognize the irony and laugh at your own mistake, but it looks like you've taken it seriously. Yes, I can say I am ashamed at my own failure as a writer. Of course not. Please forgive us. Please let us use your... I have no need for money, but some pet food would be nice. Pet food? For your cat. Son chat qui s'appelle Bernd Castle. Voilà, je le dis. Elle a Bernd Castle dans sa cave. Bah, en vrai... There was a rumor you had a cat who liked dried plums. Yes, as you wish. Quickly, let's have a high-quality assortment of dried plums brought in here. She only eats the ones that are packaged separately, at 200 yen apiece. At this rate, she'll die of high blood pressure. She snacks some kimchi and spicy miso all the time too. Really, there must be something wrong with that cat's tongue. Meep. The cat mewed an objection from where it lay on top of the bookshelf. I cannot give you this manuscript, but why don't I write up a new one for your company's contest? However, I won't write it under my name. It's estimated that thousands of manuscripts will be sent in for your contest. If you manage to pick mine out from the pack, and if you also find it deserving of the prize, then I will be happy to continue our discussion just now. How does that sound? Just the honor of receiving your manuscript is more than enough. You people truly are amusing, funning and cringing all the time. But I have grown weary of this today. Leave now. Meeting with children of men can be so tiring. We are deeply grateful for your kindness in allowing us this meeting. A servant guided the people from the publishing company to the door. In the study that was now finally quiet, Achito Toya let out a sigh, slumped down in the sofa and gazed at the ceiling. It is tiring, but the stimulation of talking with a child of man isn't such a bad thing, in small doses. It's good for you to talk to people every now and then. Il go senale if this et parle à son chat. Et parle à son chat, qui du coup est Bernd Castle. Et en fait, toute l'histoire, c'est Achito Toya qui l'a fait depuis le début. C'est pour ça qu'il est encore un rang au-dessus de tout le monde. Je sais pas. The black cat leapt from the bookshelf and landed softly on the carpet. Oui, bon, bah ça déjà. Then its form silently twisted and became that of Ben Castle. Indeed, they certainly can be entertaining. Le problème, c'est que j'ai pas l'impression qu'il y ait d'autres chats, donc je sais pas qui est Lambda Delta. Inviting them over now, and then may go a long way towards alleviating my boredom. At any rate, I think I will write that manuscript when I feel like it. It sounds like they'll even bring a gift for you. What's all this about pet food? How rude. Well, that's what it is. Here. Achiro picked up a jar from a shelf, then took a dried plum out of straight into the air. In an instant, Ben Castle turned back into a black cat, caught it in midair, and started munching away. Putain, oui. C'est du foreshadowing aussi. Après, je sais pas trop qu'est-ce qu'on peut en faire de ce foreshadowing là, mais... Madame Achiro, your guests have departed. Seven knocked on the door before making this announcement. Thank you. Let me know if that one wakes up. As you wish. Would you like some tea? No, I'm going to write for a bit. Please do not disturb me. Yes, Mom. After waiting for the seven's footsteps to disappear into the distance, Achiro moved to her desk. The desk certainly looked as though it belonged to a great writer, with pages of manuscripts scattered across it. Even though the century is almost over, you still write. Even though the century is almost over, you still write with a pen. The black cat spoke as it tore the dried plum apart with its mouth. Tales are to be written with ink. To me, that is an unbreakable rule. So you write it once with ink, then type the whole thing over again with a keyboard. Pretty stupid, doing the same thing twice. In that case, why does a child of man draw up a tale in their mind and then spit the whole thing out again on a keyboard? How foolish of them to do the same thing twice. Look at it that way, and you're doing the same thing 3 times. That was a good one. Even as Ashiro laughed, her fountain pen was already sliding across the page. Beautiful letters appeared almost as fast and proficiently as a typewriter. Only humans call their creations manuscripts. With a fountain pen and writing paper, she was creating a world. As she did, the hands of the clock would spin around like a top. The light and shadows that came in through the window changed the angle so fast they might have been the hands of a clock themselves. Slowly, she drew a large X across the tightly packed words on the paper. Having trouble? I can draw it out well. Writing a manuscript to please people is truly a pain. After all, I don't usually write for other people to read. You should try writing down whatever it is you're saying on that manuscript paper. Ben Castle curled up on the sofa, a mocking smile on her face. Normally, whenever Achiro was writing, Ben Castle would never let herself be noticed, much less talk to her. However, Ben Castle realized that the other was apparently getting bored with her manuscript, so she yawned and started talking. What is it you're writing, anyway? A tale to give to a child of man. Which child of man? It's a tale I promised to write for Umineko who once read for me. You're still writing that. I can't think of anything to write that will give her satisfaction. Looks like Ao giving up yet again. You always promise to write a story, then get stuck before you finished and give up. If I had given up, I wouldn't be worrying over it like this. There's only one tale that ours wanted from the beginning. The tale of the single truth. Or said she wanted to know what happened that day. No matter how many tales you write is starting a truth, she will never be satisfied. And yet I do think my tales are far more interesting than the single truth. Ange doesn't want to read an interesting tale. I promised that child of man that I would write a tale for her sake. So I am writing a tale to please her. No matter how uninteresting it is. Everything you write is an illusion. Ange doesn't want any of that. Haven't you figured that out yet? The book of the single truth was written by Ushiromiya Eva. Hidden amongst the pile of writing paper was Eva's diary. Furthermore, the one who wrote this passed away without revealing it to anyone. Being the humble writer that I am, I would like to respect that. Don't make me laugh. Is this coming from the person who entertains herself by taking a tale and tearing out its guts? The truth is uninteresting. Is that your opinion after tearing apart the guts of so many tales? You might as well say that. With a self-mocking laugh, Achijo set down her fountain pen. I certainly have aged. The first thing age taught me was that not knowing is more precious than knowing. Ouais. That definitely sounds like something an old person would say, but I'll buy it. What do you mean? Knowing and not knowing. These two things have a one-way relationship. True. It's possible to switch from not knowing to knowing, but you can't do it the other way around. When I realized that, I saw the noble purity resembling virginity that exists in not knowing. In my attempts to escape boredom, I've torn apart and eaten the guts of as many games and tales as there are stars in the sky. But always my relief from boredom is short-lived. It's also fleeting that I've started to ignore each tale as an individual story. That's right. If you eat a cat, then you only get to enjoy it for one night. Bah, fais pas ça. But if you let it live, it might start calling you names and getting sarcastic. Indeed. Even the annoying way they break into your sweet cupboard or snake into your bed can be part of their charm. Achito looked around at the books covering every square inch of the room, then softly patted the cat's back. I might have been able to enjoy a single tale much longer and much more deeply. As I've eaten my way through countless tales to escape boredom, I haven't really been eating them. I've just been killing them. And in the end, they'll kill me back. Achiro laughed with self-derision. Even in Beato's game. Even in Beato's game, you tried to tear the guts out. I just wanted to check my answers. I did try to do it in a way that respected Beatrice, the weaver of this tale. Yeah, I think it was pretty well read. All done so that people who didn't understand wouldn't figure it out. Would it make for a better tale if Ange learns the truth, or if she doesn't? To be honest, I don't know anymore. So, fully aware that you will scorn me for it, I decided to stop writing the rest of this tale.
Imagine, là c'est l'auteur qui nous parle, et c'est le plus grand blue ball de tous les temps. Vraiment en mode, bah non, bah du coup y a pas... C'est à toi de décider. Oh putain. Je sais pas comment je le prendrais.
What do you mean? I won't write it. I will merely record it. The tale that Ushiromiya Ange weaved herself. So you're going to do that sort of thing again? After growing tired of 1,000 years of life, I've decided that choosing not to know the truth is the most noble place. However, I now see that it is unfair to force my opinion of an Ange who hasn't lived even 100 years. Huh, so you're going to leave it in Ange's care? Yes, I will silently record it as it plays out. If you're leaving it to Ange, then the rest of this tale is pretty much set in stone, right? And so it would seem. Let it be so. After all, in the end, a tale that a child of man weaves for herself will be more fun than any story I could create.
Ça rappelle ce que Violette disait sur la fin sur pas finir le jeu. Vraiment, hein. Peut-être que c'est le jeu ultime pour Violette.
In this case, why don't you lend a hand in Ange's tale? You've already given yourself a role in it, haven't you? So it is my role to bring this tale to its conclusion. Come on, that's no way for someone in Berto's game to talk. It's your job to tear the guts out of the cat box. Achito chuckled, pushed aside the pile of writing paper, and picked up the book of the single truth. Moi, je me pose la question, parce que là, on sait où il est dans les désillusions de 1986, mais il est où le bouquin en 1998? Non. Attends, c'est pareil. En 1998, c'est Achiro qui a le bouquin, mais il n'y a pas la clé. Où est la clé? Et surtout, s'il n'y a qu'une seule temporalité vraiment dans le futur, pourquoi est-ce que Ange se retrouve sur l'île sans vraiment connaître la vérité encore? Est-ce que la clé est un vrai truc? Peut-être pas. Peut-être pas. Then she opened a locked drawer. Oh, elle a la clé. C'est elle qui a la clé. That is what Ange desires. Perhaps this book's seal is fated to be broken. Ange will reach the single truth. And everything will then be exposed to the light of the day. And so all of those countless messages, bottles, and fragments made up of delightful imaginings which have been scattered across the ocean of the internet will fade away like foam on the sea. After all, even that person has surely tired of such fragments. It's about time for that kid's journey to end too. Yes, let us accept this task. As our role demands, let's give this journey an end of the line. At that moment, there were sounds of someone in the hallway. The instant someone knocked on the door, Ben Castle turned back into a black cat. Madame Achito, please forgive me for interrupting. It was the voice of Achito's servant. What is it? If it's a phone call, then tell them I'm busy. It isn't that. Toya-sama has woken up. What? Mais c'est elle? C'est elle, Shirotoya, non? Thank you. Prepare a light meal. Enough for the two of us. As you wish. Achito stood up. Then she shut the open drawer and locked it again. Pour la temporalité, il y a une réponse, mais c'est la bad ending. Ah merde. C'est qu'on voit pas les choses dans le bon ordre. Ça, on en prend une... C'est possible. Aïe aïe aïe. Inside that drawer lay a glittering golden key. Pourquoi est-ce qu'elle a ça? Repeat it. The definition of a closed room prevents all varieties of entering and existing. I refuse. By definition, it's impossible for a closed room murder to take place inside a perfect closed room. The chain might have been repaired after it was destroyed. The door might have been repaired after it was destroyed. The wall might have been repaired after it was destroyed. My close room doesn't involve anything being repaired.
Bon, pendant ce temps-là, il y a les deux là qui sont en train de flirt.
Good. This is getting fun, Butler. Sorry, but I don't have time to play with you right now. I'm sorry too, but as a fellow Witch of Truth, I can't let you get in Ange's way. Come to think of it, you're a Witch of Truth too, aren't you? I guess that makes you a sort of mentor to Ange. The single truth, it is the supreme, the ultimate. Only a Witch of Truth can break down all barriers that stand between her and the truth.
C'est une forme de head sex, bah vraiment. J'aime bien comment Battler lui a dit attends, oh la vache. Je parle après.
A single truth of yours is so important. There are lots of things in this world that aren't worth knowing. How important is 1986 to Ange, really? Is it something important at all?
C'est pas à toi de décider ça, Battler. C'est pas à toi de décider ça, Battler. C'est ça qui est beau.
You're probably right. No matter what happened or didn't happen in 1986, it won't change anything for the Ange living in 1998. There's no point in knowing that truth. However, there is just one thing that will change.
What's that?
As she leaves.
Réel. Erika transformed their reasoning into a seized blade and lashed out at Battler and wound over. Battler also created a blade from his reasoning and attacked Erika over and over. In the middle of all of this, questioned Erika, the girl who, like Ange, called herself a Witch of Truth. But what is the point of exposing the truth? You're right. Knowing and changes how a person lives their life. In that case, I have one hope as their blood relative. I hope that at the end of my game, Ange finds a better way to live her life.
Knowing may change how people live, but not always in a good direction. There are plenty of things in this world that you'd be more comfortable not knowing.
The number of ticks living in the seats of on a train. There's been legends about nasty stuff in the tap water. The world's full of things you'd be better off not knowing. The Book of the Single Truth probably can't teach Ange what happened on this island. But what's the point of her knowing that? To just increase the sadness she felt for 12 years. How many more years will it take for her to find happiness as an ordinary girl? How many years will it take for her wounds to be healed? Tu peux pas commencer... En fait, tu peux pas commencer à guérir tes blessures si elles restent ouvertes en permanence. Ange's desire to find the truth is hurting her, regardless of what the truth actually is. Though her deep wounds were slow to heal, they did begin to do so during those 12 years. However, Ange kept picking at the scabs. In her search for the truth, she tore at those wounds herself, opening them once more. It's time for Ange to be free of the sadness of 1986. That's what all of us should be pray for.
Yes, about that. The truth is everything, the truth is justice.
It's a disease everyone gets at least once, usually in middle school. They just love to find all of those things adults are hiding.
But don't you think it's fun to expose things like that?
Yeah, totally. Reading dirty books wouldn't be nearly so fun if you didn't have to do it in secret. Ah d'accord, y a même plus d'effort quoi, c'est... Tout ce que tu dis, je dis non.
I deny your fill of your blue edges with the red truth. None of the methods you suggest could defeat my close room.
Ange was breathing heavily. The Book of the Single Truth was right before her eyes. If she could just defeat Beato, she would be able to take the book to Ben Castle. Then she could read what was inside. Even though the truth of the final family conference on October 4th and 5th of 1986 was right there, the Golden Witch stood in her way. Her anger and hatred spun around inside her head,
wiping out the composure necessary to terry making. Anne shook her head several times, clearing away everything that got in the way of her calming her mind. However, no matter how many times she thought it through, the closed room sitting her in the chapel was perfect. Anne wasn't particularly familiar with the mystery genre. However, she knew about all the fragments containing Benedetto's games so far. Her knowledge was shallow, but it should still have been enough to give her a good foothold. However, no matter how many blue truces she shot at Berto, none of them even made the witch flinch. Berto just blew them apart with the red truce on an elegant wave of her pipe. It's about time you gave up. I don't even view this as a game between the two of us. Are you implying that I could never solve this puzzle? I'm just buying time until Butler finishes her dealing with Erica. He's the only one who can bring you to your senses. Bring me to my senses? You're the one making me do this by adding the single truth. That's why I'm fighting you. This is my right. As the final member of the Shirovia family, I have a right to know the truth. It's a baffle. Indeed. And that is the purpose of this final game. That's right. This final game, I wouldn't have been given a chance to read the truth. At least for that one thing, I am grateful. But as for what happened in 1986, as for who took your relative and your family away from you, as a human, your desire to know the truth is quite natural. However, even knowing this, Berto decided that it would be best if you didn't return to 1986. Qu'est-ce qui pourrait être pire que sa famille? Qu'est-ce qui pourrait être pire que sa famille qui l'ait tué? Est-ce que son absence, peut-être, est la cause de leur mort? Genre, en ne venant pas, ils sont morts, pour je ne sais quelle raison. Et du coup, le coupable de leur mort, ce serait elle. Ange. Ce serait horrible. Ça expliquerait aussi pourquoi Eva la détestait. En vrai, ouais. Ouais, non, ça peut expliquer ça. Mais... Et du coup, elle la détestait, mais en même temps, ça doit pas vraiment être sa faute. Enfin, c'est sa faute, mais en même temps, bah, c'est une faute, mais par... Elle doit se rendre compte que c'est pas vraiment sa faute. C'est pas elle qui a décidé de pas être là. Mais juste son absence aurait créé tout ça. Je saute dans ce train-là. I know what Onishan's trying to say. Telling me to look to the future and live instead of being stuck in the past, right? Correct. C'est Danjo, ok. Correct, but I wanted to use this final game to show you that. In that case, there's no need to keep waiting for my answer. The answer is no, Golden Witch. I died back in 1986. I've wandered about like a ghost for 12 years since then. And when Onteva died, I lost my only reason to stick around on this earth as a ghost. That's why I decided to do one last thing before ending my life. That thing is learning the truth of 1986. Yeah, got a problem with that? Of course I do, you foolish girl. So if you do reach the truth, you'll die. In that case, I can't let you have it. I must trick you and blind you as much as I can to keep you alive. But love wants you to live. C'est absolu, mais je peux comprendre la position. Living without you. Est-ce qu'il y a un parallèle entre le rouge, le bleu et la pilule rouge et la pilule bleue de Matrix? Genre la vérité absolue qui est le rouge? Non, le bleu c'est pas une illusion. Non, le bleu c'est pas une illusion, donc ça marche pas. Mais j'aime bien l'idée. J'aime beaucoup l'idée. Living without truth is no better than dying. I'm trying to find the truth so I can live. You just admitted that you were searching for the truth so you could die. Yeah, that's right. Then let me rephrase that. I'm trying to find the truth so I can die. I offered up my life when I made my contract with Van Castle. Also, I could learn what happened that day. That single truth would be the souvenir I take with me to hell. It's useless. You cannot break this closed room. This closed room is perfect. And yet, I will kill you in this closed room. She had tried every theory, idea, and every bit of nonsense she could think of. However, none of it had any effect on Beato. Powerless and frustrated, with the book of the single truth right before her eyes, Ange bit her lower lip. At first, it was supposed to be a game in which you were given a key. A key that would let you decide your future. Liar. You wanted to hide the truth in this chapel and make me choose a door that leads to some optimistic future. That's not a choice. You're trying to decide for me. And parents have the right to prevent their children from making any suitable choices. I'm not a kid. I'm an 19-year-old woman who can sing and act for herself. You're just a 6-year-old girl who can't think of anything except the past. C'est pas faux. Whose fault do you think is that? Because of you, I've been stuck as a 6-year-old all this time. Now it's time for me to tear apart your illusion covering the truth. Yes, now that I think about it, it's not this chapel that you've locked me inside. Since that day in 1986, for all these years, you've had me locked away in a closed room where I'm all alone, and where no one will tell me the truth. And now I'll tear your closed room apart with my own hands. Yo, viens. Comment ça va? Yeah, it's useless, it's all useless. I know the trick to your perfect closed room. Repeat it. You murdered me immediately after shutting me in this closed room. Ça va nickel, ça va nickel. On arrive bientôt à la fin du jeu là. Probablement la session demain soir sera la dernière session sur ce jeu. C'est que du cinéma. Que du cinéma tout du long. Que du cinéma. I refuse. Aïe aïe aïe. Of course. You've been killing me for 18 years. Thanks, Beatrice. Est-ce que la dernière sera sur le faux? Je sais pas. Bah non, parce que... En fait, je vais... Imagine, je mets le dernier truc sur le faux, il y a des gens qui viennent check. Ça va les spoil. En vrai, ça aurait été cool, mais... Non, je peux pas. Ouais, non, je peux pas. If you hadn't reminded me, I wouldn't have figured the trick. Ange, you're young and you have a long future ahead of you. In fact, you are the god in which will live in the future, are you not? Then live on in the future. So much are past truths really worse. Don't they pale in comparison to the truth of the future, the truth you create yourself? My life is trash. My whole family died, leaving just me behind. That's why I'm going back to them once I've gotten my single truth. C'est toujours ce jeu. Oui, 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 oui. On est toujours là-dessus. Il est infini ce jeu, mais en même temps, il est tellement bien. Il est tellement bien. Bah là, on est à 160 heures de jeu, là, quasiment. Mais il doit rester moins de 5-6 heures, je pense. On est vraiment sur la fin. If you learn the truth, you just have to accept your family's death. Haven't you ever thought about living on? Hoping that by some miracle one of them might have survived? And that someday you might get a chance to see them again? I'm not worried about that. But the Witch of Miracles couldn't fight a fragment like that. The Great Rokenjima explosion, almost none of the family's remains were recovered. Some days I hope that this might be a sign that they had escaped the explosion and survived. That hope gave me the strength to live on. But that hope wasn't strong enough to support me for 12 years. So even though I wanted to know the truth, I unconsciously averted my eyes. I felt that learning of my family's death for certain would force me to deny any possibility of someone miraculously surviving. But I'm tired of living on, with nothing but that impossible hope of a miracle to keep me going. Toujours chapitre 1, oui, oui. That's why I decided to accept my family's death. I decided to accept the truth no matter what it is. That's why I became a Witch of Truth.
How foolish to be blinded by the truth of the past and unable to see one's future. One's own future. Forgive me, Battler. I was not strong enough to guide your sister properly. A blazing blue wedge appeared in Arda's hand. It was long, thick, and shaped like a spear. This is the end, Witch of 1986. This closed room is perfect. Therefore I can't get out, and you can't lay a finger on me from the outside. Although you locked me into this room, so we can say you killed me with a simple trick. Shut me in this perfect closed room and made me starve to death. Since you intentionally did this, it's totally fair to say that this is a closed room murder with you as the killer. It looks like being overly vague because of death backfired on you. Pas mal. So long, Witch of Illusions. See you in hell. Ah, et elle prend la pause. On remarquera que les deux sorcières de la vérité sont les deux qui parlent en anglais. Erika et Ange. Est-ce qu'on pourrait pas dire que Erika, qui n'existe pas sur Rokenjima, c'est la persona de Ange? With the stained glass window behind her, Beato spread her arms and let the spear of the blue truth pierce her. The blue spear seemed to crucify Beato against the window. Bien sûr, en vrai, moi j'aime bien le call. Bon, ça rend la scène du mariage un peu bizarre, mais tranquille. Ange, elle aime beaucoup son frère. Game set. So this is Anteva's diary, the book of the single truth. Ange picked the book up from where it lay on the altar sealed in crystal. You read that? Then by contract, Miss Van Castle, you will die. Learning the truth just to die? Ridiculous. That's right. I'm looking for the truth so I can die. At least let me choose how I go. I'm not an idiot. I know the real me is still floating in that starry sky. Je pense, c'est un peu ce que je pensais aussi. La dernière fois que j'ai call du 16 dans le jeu, j'avais raison. Là, mon call, et c'est un call que j'avais depuis quelques temps, j'étais pas sûr, c'est que pour moi, s'il y a vraiment pas de sorcellerie ni quoi que ce soit, Ange l'a vraiment sauté ce soir-là. Et tout ce qui se passe depuis ce temps-là, du côté de Ange, c'est juste des illusions qu'elle s'imagine dans sa tête pendant qu'elle tombe. Le fait qu'elle ait été sauvée et tout ça par miracle, alors qu'elle est tombée d'un bâtiment de 200 pieds... Non. Pour moi, elle est juste en train de tomber et elle est en train de réfléchir à tout ça pendant sa chute. Ben Castle acknowledged me as the final Beatrice and invited me on a journey to learn the truth of 1986. I won't be able to return here again. When Ben Castle told me that and walked off the roof into the black sky, I followed her into the empty air. That was the contract. I wanted two things from Ben Castle. One was for someone from my family to come back. The other was revenge. Who the fuck Yamakusa? C'est vrai que je l'ai pas là. I wanted to destroy the illusion of the witch that hid the events of that day. I wanted to reach the truth. However, the first of my wishes couldn't come true. Et du coup, le fait qu'Amakusa existe me fait donner espoir que ce soit faux, ma théorie sur le fait qu'elles sont en train de tomber là. After all, even the Witch of Miracles couldn't find the fragment where my family came home. So she wordlessly questioned me. She told me that I couldn't reach the truth unless I had the courage to end this worthless life. While I lived like a ghost hoping someone might come back. So she walked out into the open air and I followed her. Yes, now I can understand. When I thought to trade away my wild life, I made one wish and gave up another. I wished for revenge against the illusion hiding the truth. Now I've succeeded in that revenge, defeating the master of that illusion and obtaining the book of the single truth. What I gave up was my naivety, my continuing belief that someone from my family might come back.
Now I can accept that my entire family is dead. Can you make someone alive just because no one knows any different? These cat boxes you talk about are just naive delusions. The idea that a corpse can live as long as you keep it hidden. Even if you hide a corpse, it's still dead. Do you really think that you can heal my wounds by saying that they'll all be watching over me from the clouds, like some kind of fairy tale? I'm Ange Beatrice, a witch of truth. I'll free myself from that life as a ghost, waiting for a miracle that will never happen. I'll end my life as a noble martyr who's reached the truth. Didn't you once come to understand the power of magic through Maya's grimoire? Yeah. I understood it, and then I despaired when I realized how powerless I was. And that's what Onishan is trying to force me to use now, isn't it? If I use magic, then my family will always be by my side. Don't take me for a fool. You think that kind of magic, an illusion, a daydream, can heal those 12 years? And how am I supposed to go on for decades and decades into the future? Someone, come back to me, someone! But no one's coming back. So at least tell me what happened that day. Bankasa said she would tell me. My master, I have the book of the single truth. I'll take it back to you, so give me the truth. For so long I have prepared. I've been prepared to throw away my naive hopes for a miracle. Now tell me the truth of that day! A blinding light poured out of the chapel. It seeped from the windows and the cracks of the door, even reaching as far as Battler's and Ryoka's eyes. What? It seems Comrade Ange has completed a task. It looks like you've set up some pathetic seal, but to my master, that will be easier than throwing frozen sorry fish. Master said I could play with you until Ange finished her task. I've had enough fun from this reunion, so I think it's time for me to leave. Erika gave an elegant curtsy. Why did you talk Ange into looking for the single truth? Your master must know. That truth doesn't mean anything to Ange. Yes, all truths in this world are meaningless. In the end, meaning comes from the mind of each individual human. Erika se sonnait russe, exactement. Comrade. And then when there is a single truth, it can mean different things to different people. The truth has no meaning in itself. There's just one reason why I'm still stuck on the truth despite it all. Because you're the detective. Good. But Ange San isn't a detective. To her, the truth itself is the finish line. A way to mark the end of her unhappy life. Now she's finally finished the final purification ceremony. She's a one-night witch of truth, focused on learning a single truth before she dies. A temporary witch for the short time until she slams against the ground. Elle est vraiment en train de tomber. I won't let Ange die. No matter how soft it gets, she has to live. That's the only thing all of us want. If she lives, all sorts of magic and miracles will be possible. If only you had put your arm around the shoulder and told that directly, you might not have lost. What do you think? Just by hearing you all, this level of reasoning is possible for peu little Erika. Live, Ange! You have to live! He yelled toward the chapel, but Ange probably wasn't even there anymore. Atla's yell was swallowed by the empty pitch black sky and the sea of propagating goats. Comrade Eva, our mission is complete. Let's withdraw. Are we done already? And I was just about to tear the island apart with my own Eva culprit theory. Eva appeared in midair and crackled. Sorry, Vatla-kun. I thought I wasn't strong enough. For 12 years I protected that kid in my own way. I'm grateful. However, she's decided this for herself. She's 18 years old now. Don't you think people should decide how they live their own lives? Sorry for being a doting big brother. L'Union républicaine des sociétés soviétiques. Later. I'm Lady Mencastle Peace at the moment. It's time for me to go. I'll see you later, Comrade Eva. Eva held her palm open and a small pointy blue fragment appeared there. The fragment burst and with a blinding flash of light, Eva vanished. It was the same light that had seeped out of the chapel earlier. NPCs cannot leave the game board. However, the Voyager witches alone could come and go. It was probably some sort of magic that Bencastle had given them. Erika opened her palm as well, and the same sort of fragment appeared there. Not enough fun, I think. Who knows, this might be the last time we meet. Wait, we haven't settled our fight yet. If he could steal the fragment in Erika's hand, he would be able to go where Bencastle was. The seal surrounding the Book of the Single Truth will probably be melted easily with Bencastle's power. However, even so, it will take care some time. If he could steal that fragment, he would have a chance at bringing Ange back. What is there to settle? Time's up. However, if you feel like taking one last hit, I'd be happy to oblige. Butler had known that Erika wouldn't be able to resist the challenge. After all, he already knew what her trick was. He figured it out just a second ago. Even while he spoke with Erika, he had been thinking about it inside his mind. He could finish her with this last strike and take the fragment. Let's go, Erika. This will decide it. This clash will be the last before I go. So go ahead and give me the craziest of your hilarious stories. A closed room definition stated that the walls, windows, floor, ceiling, and chain were all unbeatable. However, there was one possibility that I didn't check because it was too ridiculous. That was whether or not the chain could be set from the outside. Oh! Blue truth. This is the answer to your closed room. The length of the chain. The chain for your closed room was extra long, so it was possible to set it and set from outside the room. What a ridiculous answer. However, if you blindly assume that a lock made by an unbreakable chain makes a closed room unbeatable, then this really will be a perfect closed room. The blue wedge flung from Battler's hand and plunging straight into Erika's chest. As she winced in pain, her hand shook and the fragment she held flew into the air. No! No, Butler. The closed room definition stated that the walls, window, floor, door, and chain were all unbeatable. However, wasn't there one really ridiculous thing missing? Bluetooth! The closed room had no ceiling, so it was possible to enter by climbing over the wall. Okay. Erika's blue side swung out from behind her back, catching Butler in the side as he stretched his hand out toward the fragment. Butler's hand didn't reach it. The fragment returned to Erika's hand once more. It looks like our tricks were equally ridiculous. The mystery nuts will have been furious, don't you think? But I disagree. To me, the process of exposing that ridiculousness is ecstasy. That's why I'm afraid of Erika, the detective. Damn it. You figured out the answer a while back, didn't you? That's true. I set it up between the time you let lose your Bluetooth and the time you stretch your hand to grab the fragment. I've just been buying time since the beginning. Only started reasoning a second ago. Erika broke the crystal barrier that surrounded them. Then she flew high up into the sky, looking down on Butler and laughing at him as she gave a final bow. So long, Butler-san. Even if this has been my only time to shine, even if I've outlived my usefulness, I'm about to be thrown back into the depths of oblivion. And so I have no regrets. Wait. I actually would actually wait just because I told her to. With a blinding flash, Erika vanished. Not had retrieved the Book of the Single Truth and returned to Bencastle. Atla and the others had no way to leave the game board. Everything had come to an end. The gold butterfly flitted by, and Beato appeared. My apologies, Battle. I let Ange get away. I'm sorry too. We let them escape. It's all over. Battle had created this game for Ange. Now that Ange was gone, the game board no longer had any purpose. And even if that hadn't been the case, the game board itself had been chewed to bits by the goats. It was now like a single leaf, floating on a sea of nothingness. Thanks to Gertrude and Cornelia's seals, the mansion was protected from the second floor up. The door to the Golden Land was now open wide enough for a child to sleep through. Smaller people like Maya and Sakutaro went through it. My friend, I believe the door is opening at a quicker pace. Indeed. To my eyes as well, it seems to be so. Father, is it open yet? It looks like they're about to break in through the windows.
Crossomer, there is no need for you to fear. And Nathan Jungfrau barrier is not so easily broken.
Very soon it will be enough. Big enough for others to go through. Don't worry, we'll make it in time. There's knocking and banging everywhere and... Stay calm and wait. After all, there's nothing else we can do. Even the outer walls of the mansion were covered with goats. They were plunging their fangs and fists into the walls and windows, trying to crush them. So anyone watching the goats stuck to all the windows in the hallway, smashing their sick arm against the window, couldn't help but be terrified even if they knew about the barrier. However, anyone watching the group of goats gathered at the top of the big staircase on the other side of the barrier would probably feel a different emotion. Rather than terror, it was a sad, empty sort of emotion. The barrier was drawn across the landing at the top of the hall's great staircase. Beyond that barrier, everything had been already taken away. Was it even possible for those who stood in the hallway of the upper floors to believe that this was the Rukundima mansion? By now, no one looking at this scene will be able to imagine such a thing. Forget the hall or even the whole first floor, even the ground itself was almost gone. The sea of goats had eaten everything apart long before this. They had eaten apart the wall, the pillars of the mansion, the floor, the ground, the sea, the very concept of this island. Every part of the game board Battler had created. And now the only leftover was the upper part of the mansion, which floated along in empty space.
How pitiful!
To what do you refer?
The goats, in their eagerness to show this island apart, have eaten up even the ground they stood on, dropping themselves into nothingness.
This had once been a huge entrance hall. Beyond it had been a vast rose garden. There had been so many places to stand upon. However, now holes had been dug everywhere, and nearly everything outside the mansion was completely gone. Some goats were clutching to the few remaining footholds and pillars, still eating away at them. Let it be known that expressing the truth is murder. Why can't humans live without killing, I wonder? Throughout their long history, so many have prayed for miracles, but in the end, they eat up their own chances at receiving them, eating up the very ground they stand on and falling into the abyss. They saw a goat chewing the same pillar that was utterly gave it up, which unsurprisingly fell into empty blackness along with the goat. Humans are sad creature, fated to live in order to learn. If learning means eating away the same hopes and dreams that keep you alive, that will mean humans are born just so they can die. We thought that we have to live, however, most embracing that we accomplish in life ends up killing us. Don't think about it. You'll just get an headache. Single human, I want to ask, is learning a sin? Is living in ignorance the only way we can have hopes and dreams? Hopes and dreams! Both living with knowledge and living in ignorance have their benefits, as well as their shortcomings. You're even free to choose which path you take. That's what makes humans powerless. While people can learn, they cannot unlearn. And so the all-knowing God that stepped in for the sake of human and who cannot unlearn, looking at things that should be learned and things that should not be learned. Too much curiosity can kill you and your hopes and dreams. Humans are pitiable beings who are unable to simply avoid these things which should not be learned. Lord Battler can hardly be blamed for failing to teach Ange this. And now Ange's gone. This game is over. Struck down by Will's word, everyone was silent. Only the sound of the goats eating everything away rang out holily. Even if they escaped to the Golden Land, the goats of emptiness would probably shoot into that realm as well. Even if they got away for the time, nothing would be resolved. It was all set in stone now. They had no way to resist the future violent attempts to tear the cat box of the past open. That case, we must stay alive. If a human's foolishness makes them throw away their own hopes and dreams in the end, then I want to believe in those things until the last second. Her resolve is impressive. I'm the one hope held by Beatrice's of a million worlds, So even at a time like this, I have to be everyone's hope. I'm not giving up in this game yet.
By which you mean?
I'll keep waiting, believing in a miracle until the last second.
So he keeps on struggling until it's all over.
That's right. After all, last time, when we were surrounded by that pack of terrifying cats, we were prepared for death, weren't we? But Lambda Delta saved us. If we had given up, if we hadn't had the strength to believe in a miracle, then I'm sure we'd have been erased before any help could come.
It's not like I really saved you. More like a burn just failed to kill you properly. Or it might have been some whim of hers. A miraculous swim from the Witch of Miracles. How long had she been there? Andaletta was leaning on the handrail of the staircase eating popcorn. She held the cup of popcorn out, but Lion declined the offer.
Atakun told us, he said Anshan made a contract by which she would learn the truth in exchange for her own life.
Coucou Nibo. Comment ça va?
During my conversation just now, there was no contract.
After all, living and seeking the truth so they can die is what humans do anyway, right? Tu prenais pas tes vitamines? Ouais, c'est ça. Bravo.
In other words, Anja spent all of her life trying to learn the truth. All Ben did was shorten that time to a single instant. When Anshan lost her hopes and dreams, she stopped valuing her own life. Why can't she be given hopes and dreams again? What can be done to help her find a reason for living? Are you asking me? I'm paper, right? Double twisted curly super paper. Not just uncomplicated stuff. After tossing the last bits of popcorn into my mouth, I let it threw the empty cup into the abyss of nothingness. Ben wasn't really pushing that kid to do something she didn't want. She was giving Ange a chance. Or should I call it a choice? Then Ange made the choice she wanted, appeared on the game board, and now in a game against Vatla, she's making her own choice again. From start to finish, Ange's game has always belonged to Ange. Right now, I'm just a casual observer.
So not a particularly enthusiastic observer.
Maybe. It's a play with an obvious ending. So I decided I might as well take my leave. You mean you stop watching a play just because you think you know how it will end?
C'est Violette. C'est littéralement Violette.
Even though it might reach a climax you didn't expect. Landadetta licked her salty fingers. Then she stared at Lion challengingly and grinned. I know that Ange's game won't end this way. I know Battler's Kun feeling will reach her. She'll understand that he wants her to live in a better future and she'll choose that future of her own accord. I'm certain that's how this tale will end. Are you talking to me, the Witch of Certainty, and saying that the outcome is certain? That's right. I guarantee it. Now just Shan's game won't end like this. So please don't leave your seat. We won't leave either. There must be something we can do. And that will slowly lead her to a better future. This tale will definitely have an happy ending. So keep watching until the end. I beg you. Even though I have already announced that the Witch of Certainty that this tale won't have a happy ending. The definition of a happy ending is something everyone watching can decide for themselves, right? For a while there was a tense silence. With a confident gaze that seemed to be saying, "Are you serious?" Lambda Delta stared at Leon. However, Leon's eyes didn't even twitch. For some time, they both stared into the other's eyes without flinching. Suddenly, Lambda Delta let out a large sigh and stretched. Well, I have nowhere better to be. Sure, I'll stick around a bit longer. If you get me some more broken, that is. I'm feeling like caramel flavor this time. If you come to the garden, man, we'll save you as much as you'd like. And Delta waved at them with a thin smile. No one was quite sure what it meant, but it apparently signified a surrender in her own way. Okay, if you'll guarantee your own flavor of happy ending with certainty, then I, the God Lambda Delta, will stick around for a little while longer. See how big my heart is? As wide as Lake Biwa. That's pretty thin, actually. And as gentle as the Sea of Japan. That is a very rough sea. Please allow us to speak. You seem she meant it the other way around. There was some muffled laughter. Lambda is the witch who gives strength to those who possess unshakable willpower. Leon believed in the happy ending, and that certain enthusiasm might have been enough to earn a small miracle from Lambda. You better not let me get bored, okay? And if you do, I'll leave right away. Of course. I'm sure Battlecon will be glad to welcome you as well. Ian understood. In order to fight back against Best-Castle, who had taken Ange outside the board, they would need to power off another who was capable of leaving the board. The last hope was to make sure that Lambda Delta didn't abandon this game. However, judging by Lambda Delta's expression as she hummed to herself cheerily, actually asking her for help was probably going to be a problem. Look there, par. Everything from the first floor down is gone. What a spectacle. Not a sight you see every day. How have matters progressed upstairs? Alright, we came here to tell you that. Everyone, sorry to keep you waiting. They say the door to the garden land has opened. Finally, let us go. The place will not be safe for long. Everyone who had been sitting on the staircase got up. I guess this is goodbye. Rokenjima the Beautiful. True. Maybe a shadow of its former self, but this is the last time we'll say it, right? What's with this gloomy attitude? Come on, show me, okay? Let's see a happy ending.
Et c'est parfait, on s'arrête ici pour aujourd'hui. Et on aura la vraie fin demain soir. Demain, The End. Quoi qu'il arrive. Hein. Si je dois finir à 7h du matin, je finirai à 7h du matin. Et je peux partir en vacances, hein. Exactement. Allez, je vous dis bonne journée à tous. Bye bye.